Should be on. All right, we are live. Hi guys, how are you? Finally, we're waiting for 2 more people, but we're just gonna start right now. This is the American and Unafraid Symposium number 2, Ride the Red Tsunami. If you guys do super chat, 10% of the super chat donations will go to fundthewall.com. And yeah, so I also want to say I'm selling these stickers. I forgot to mention this. They'll be available at truthertalk.com within the next day or so. But have you guys seen these signs like in a lot of liberal areas, the ones that say Black Lives Matter, women's rights are human rights, science is real, no human is illegal, love is love, and kindness is everything? Have you seen those signs? Anybody want to comment on those signs?
I've seen it. I'm eating a little bit, but I've seen what you're talking about. Yeah, I did see it.
So those signs drive me crazy. So I made a counter. Signs are too expensive right now, but I'm going to start with bumper stickers. So this one says, instead of Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Instead of women, men, and what does it say? Women, human rights are women's rights. It says men and women have equal rights. Instead of saying science is real, it says voracious science is real. Instead of saying no human is illegal, there is a difference between legal and illegal immigrants. And instead of saying love is love, I put where there's love, there's life. Instead of saying kindness is everything, I say freedom is everything. So these would be $4 bumper stickers on sale sometime this week. And I was hoping to kill some time. I'm waiting for the other 2. Okay, hey, Conservative Mexican.
What's up?
I think we're waiting for Kayla and Rachel, but we're gonna go because it's a little past 8. So if they come, they come. If not, we're still gonna have a good time. So all right. So can we start off by everybody giving their names and their social handles? We'll just start with Conservative Mexican.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is me, Conservative Mexican. You can find me on YouTube, Conservative Mexican, and on Facebook with the same name.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, I'm Mike Nificent. You can catch me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Just type in Mike Nificent 813. I'm on all of the social media platforms, but on YouTube, it's just Mike Nificent. Everything else, Mike Nificent 813.
Do you have a hyphen? Is Magnificent one word?
Yeah, it's all one word. On YouTube, it's separated, but you can type it in one word or separate. It still pops up.
Comes up. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Mo.
All right. I'm Reese Delk. I'm Reese Delk. And y'all can find me at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And yep, I actually got another YouTube channel. I got 2 YouTube channels, so you can find me on there, you know, and I just love to keep it raw and uncut. You dig? All right, holla.
All right, Promethius.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's Promethius Unchained. Hey, what's going on, Conservative Mexican?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, Promethius, you gotta unmute your mic.
I can hear him.
No, wait, hold on. I'm not muted.
I can hear him. I can hear him.
I can hear him too.
Okay, so.
Oh no, I can't hear him.
Come back, Promethius.
Well, what now?
I can hear him just fine.
Can you hear us?
I can hear everybody.
I can hear everybody.
I can hear him. I hear him.
I hear him very well.
Okay,
just keep going, dude.
Okay.
That's so, anyways,
and who's next? Hey, Promethius, would you like throw up your hand if you can hear me when you're done, so I can get the next person going?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Promethius Unchained, and I also have a Twitter.
Uber guy.
Oh man.
Wow.
Uber guy, please introduce yourself.
All right. Yeah, but I'm Uber guy. You can find me on YouTube, Uber guy. Also, you can find me on Facebook as I think it's Uber guy Jimmy James, something like that. Instagram is Jimmy JAY610. And you know, that's what I got a YouTube channel, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram also. Uber guy.
Okay, and then Who's it? Zach?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Zach here. You can find me at Zach Hing on Instagram and YouTube. Actually, no, on Twitter and YouTube, it's Zach Hing. And on Instagram, it's Zach the Hing, because some other dude took Zach Hing. And also, yeah, when you type it on YouTube, there's always that other Zach King guy that pops up. But yeah, that's not me. That's some other dude. He's a magician, and I'm not a magician. So
You're not?
no, not at all. Not
Okay, we got, all right, and then American Curls. No, are you serious? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Hi guys, American Curls with 2 S's at on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Same name, American Curls.
Okay, and I think that's it. We're waiting for Kayla, but we'll just continue. She'll probably join us later. I'm Verstine of the Truther Talk channel. You can find me on Facebook at Truther, TRUTHERTALK. Some people think it's like Truth or Talk, but it's Truther Talk. You can find me on Facebook or find on Facebook, BitChute, Steemit, YouTube of the same name. And all right, guys. Okay, so again, remember to mute your mics when you're not talking. And 10%, anybody that's watching, it looks like we have about, how many people do we have watching now? 46 people watching now. This is awesome. If you guys want to make any donations through the super chat, 10%, I'm donating 10% of the super chat money to fundthewall.com, okay? Which is a organization that's collecting money so the citizens can fund building the wall. All right. Okay. So let's see. So we're going to talk about the midterms. Yes. For all of you, is this your first time voting in the midterm elections?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes or no?
My first time
Yeah,
also, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my first time voting midterms.
My first time too.
Yeah, already.
Is Jimmy J? Is this your first time?
Definitely my first time too.
Zach, I think this is everybody's first time. Yeah, it's my first time too. Why do you guys decide to vote this midterm election? Anybody want to speak out on that?
I'll go. I
You
can
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So like I would say for me, the reason why I'm voting in the midterm elections is because I see clear as day like what's at stake here. This isn't just a normal like, oh, just vote for this amendment or, you know, this senator or, you know, this governor. This is like our entire country. The future of the United States as we know it is at stake. So this is not just any other election. This is probably like triple the importance of the 2016 election because we all know what's going to happen if the Democrats take the House. So I want to set the precedent right now. We're not even going to talk as if they are going to take the House because there is going to be a red tsunami. So we need to make sure we get the language out and we speak positively because they're going to try to impeach our president and then this country would be completely unrecognizable going forward. So that is why I decided like this is the first for me to be voting in my first time ever in like midterm elections. I couldn't ask for a better opportunity to make my voice heard. So that's why I decided to do it. And that's why it's so important.
Yeah. Anybody else want to comment on why they're voting for the first time?
Yes. I'm gonna tell you this. I voted for Trump. That's my second time I ever voted when I voted for Obama. And I didn't realize that these midterms were important. I didn't ever realize that because I didn't vote. I wasn't a voter. But I realized that it's very important, you know, because we have to be the one to slow down the one world government, to slow down the new world order, to slow it down. And it's our jobs to do this. This is very important. This is just as important, probably more important than 2020. People don't know that, and I'm just learning because someone just schooled me on that. And you never too late. It's never too late to learn new things. And yes, it's very important, and that's why I'm doing it because I feel it in my spirit. That's very important. This is about common sense. Look at the hateful stuff that's going on right now with the left media. Look at the hateful stuff that's going on in Hollywood. Look at the hateful stuff. We got to go ahead and knock down Hollywood. So let's get a red wave and knock down Hollywood.
I hear that, man. It'll be my first time too. I mean, I knew about the midterms in 2012, whatever, but I still ain't go vote. I ain't feel like waiting in line. But this one, my energy has changed a little bit. I don't mind waiting in line, you know, because of the Kanye thing, wearing the hat, just coming out the closet, pause, but coming out the closet as a Trump supporter or not. And what I'm realizing is that this is very important because this is going to make a statement to people that the average person from the left doesn't even know that it's midterm season. So that red wave might be that much crazy that it'll be a lot easier to take America back with, you know, all sorts of people from America. So I'm going out and I'll wait as long as I got to, but I want to make my voice count this time.
Yeah, same for me. Definitely want to make my vote count. Obviously, I had an awakening in the previous year and want to show my support for that. But also, most importantly, this is only really the second time I've been eligible. So for all of you people out there, I'm pretty young. I think I've only been eligible to vote the past election and this election alone. So it is my first time regardless. I never had a chance prior to this. And I wasn't even in the country either as well. But yeah, with the whole Kavanaugh hearings and everything, I think it's definitely important that the Senate stays secure the way it is, and same thing with the House. The Democrats can't win the House because I think it's pretty evident with what happened recently, just how crazy they are. And I think a lot of people, even there was a resurgence, a lot of people are walking away even just from after the Kavanaugh hearings. Like some Korean guy just posted his walkaway video, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like that in itself has already kind of spurred that. So voting red in November will essentially help perpetuate that a little bit more. And I think it'll wake up more people. More people will kind of look at it and realize, like, try to discern as to why people are doing this. And all for good reason, of course. So, yeah.
Okay, the reason why I decided to vote in the midterms is, I mean, you kind of followed a pattern from even before Trump came about, you know, and I started noticing certain things with Obama. And he was always pushing this racism, you know, BS. And it seemed like it started to bleed all over into the media, into advertisements. And it just seemed like it was being a setup for whoever. If Trump would have won or somebody else, Bernie Sanders would have won, it was a setup. But just watching over all the years, watching our language get changed, watching us turn into a PC culture, watching what's going on with our education, that's very important to me. Everybody, it seems like everybody's been programmed into this emotional monolithic state. And as much as I've seen the left or the Democrats have always been united, I never quite could figure out how Republicans and conservatives would never work together. So I'm thinking that this midterm, people are actually going to come together, put aside their differences, and do what's best for the nation. So that's why it's so important to me.
Yeah, same here. The reason why I'm going to vote in the midterms, primarily, especially, I'm in California. And actually, we actually have a good chance at John Cox becoming the next governor of California with Trump as president. People are just energized all over the nation. And what I've seen historically is generally whoever wins a general election, the other side generally wins in the midterms. And that can't happen. There's so much that's going on that we have to keep it going forward so that, I mean, the left doesn't destroy everything that's happened so far, because you see with Brett Kavanaugh what they're willing to do in order to regain power. And there's no time to be complacent. Simple as that.
Yeah, this is my first time voting in the midterm elections as well. I never really thought about how important it was, but just recapping what everybody says, you know, I'm just seeing the depths of evil, for not even an overstatement, right? That the Democrats would go to in order to regain power. And I'm not even, you know, I was looking, somebody sent me some stuff on Brett Kavanaugh saying that he was one of the writers of the Patriot Act, which I definitely disagree. But I'm just seeing that it's not even about him necessarily. It's about the country. It's about our due process. It's about our freedom. So, you know, this is very important, like Mike said, you know, going forward. If we don't, you know, get this red wave going, then God help us, because our country, we're at a tipping point right now. Seriously. Anybody else want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll talk. I mean, like the left, I mean, it's absolutely insane. And this Kavanaugh fiasco, this circus that the entire country just saw, that just put the left on full blast. And it also highlighted where we are as a country, because you have the side of sanity, which is anyone who's walked away from the left, anyone who supports Trump. These people are just, we're just chilling. We're just chilling, right? And we're just watching all of these shenanigans as these liberals march and take to the streets in Mussolini black shirts fashion. You know, they're out there just being authoritarian, they're violent, they're, you know, making threats. And you have to wonder, okay, for the rest of the people who aren't doing that, but they hate Trump, okay, so what side are you on? You literally have to pick a side. Do you hate Trump so much that you're going to side with insanity? Or can we agree to disagree and take on the much bigger threat? Because what they did for the last 2 years is, after Trump won, there was a lot of negative energy and hate just festering, and it went unchecked in the Democrat Party, and they allowed these radical leftists to kind of hijack it. You know, they started spewing out all this hate and violence. They started intimidating Trump supporters, but still, none of the liberals said anything about it. The classical, just sane liberals, they never said anything, and they let this movement grow legs, and it went from the fringe to the mainstream. And now it's in the mainstream. They've taken over social media, and they're starting to silence and censor conservatives. So it's straight up authoritarian fascism that has taken over the Democrat Party. Now it's grown into this beast, and we all have to come together and stop it, because George Soros is funding it, as we know. And now they have candidates running for office, and some of them running for important, you know, seats in the House, and with Cortez, and then down here in Florida with the governor. So that's pretty much how big it is. It's impossible to overstate the importance of the midterm elections. We just have to get everybody out there voting red. I find it hard to believe that there are going to be any, you know, what do you call them, independents that are going to vote against Trump, because voting against Trump is voting against the United States of America. That's how I see it.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started right now. These people, I just don't get why people are against why they are against this country. Why they are against this country. I have never seen so much hateful people like this in my life. I have never seen so much hateful people. They can actually turn you into a hateful person. Not hateful person, hateful towards them. And sometimes I have to, you know what I'm saying, get out. I have to take a step back and say, you know what, this is not me. They can take you there, and we cannot let them take us there, because we're better than that. Go ahead, y'all. I ain't finna rant.
We better. I mean, but at the same time, we gotta put our foot on their necks a little bit back too. Not physically, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They be coming hard on TV and this, that, and the third. And I love it when, you know, you see what Ye did. You see what a lot of conservatives did. You see the dude with the UFC situation yesterday that shouted out Trump and beat up a Russian in the UFC ring. So it's really coming around. People are starting to be way more pro-American. The press can, you know, deceive people and make it think that it's one-sided, but it really isn't. The average person I know, they're not hating Trump like that. It's not like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm kind of like with Mo when he's saying that they make you become a hateful person. Like, I've never seen this amount of vitriol and just it's just very like a non-logical hate for somebody. And it's like Night of the Living Dead, because their hate isn't even based on reality, on fact. So that to me, that's the thing that's scary. Like, even in the Brett Kavanaugh situation, you know, there was no evidence, you know. I mean, when you accuse somebody of a crime like that, you should have evidence. And I can't even, like, what's really tripping me out is a lot of the men that are like falling for that stuff. Because I would think as a man that you would wake up and be like, well, dang, you know, if they can do this to this guy, then they can do this to me. But, you know, I can actually see women in some sense, because I feel like it's like this form of psychological transference where they're projecting their realities and what happened maybe to them on the situation. You know, a lot of people do this anyway with celebrities and all this stuff. They live vicariously through other people. But as far as the men, I mean, well, maybe, you know, maybe that's what's happening with the men though. Maybe they were raped as well too, or something, and they haven't been able to separate that like mentally, and that's why they're all up. You know, they're very anti the Calvinoff situation.
Yeah, it's troubling to see what they're doing. It's, you know, as a man, I'm extremely disappointed when I turn on the TV and I see these soy boys, as we call them, out there chanting and screeching. And we've all seen that. I'm sure you guys have by now seen the viral video of the Cuck Norris, the guy that did the roundhouse kick.
Oh, that was terrible.
They're calling him Cuck Norris. That's great. That's great. I love it. But see, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is where anyone with a shred of common sense can look at this and say, okay, you guys are marching on Capitol Hill under the guise of women's rights, but you guys go radio silent when there's a video of a man, soy boy or otherwise, a man assaulting a woman. And at the end of the day, it's all due to political disagreement. She wasn't really harassing him from what I saw from the video clip. She was just saying, like, yeah, I believe that a fetus is a baby. It's a baby. It's a human being. It has natural rights. Even though it's still in the womb, it has natural rights. She was just saying her political difference. And the leftists have become so bigoted, and it did start under Obama. Whoever said that this happened under Obama is absolutely right, because Obama kind of fostered this, you know, and he just kind of let it happen. He actually pandered to it, and he breathed life into it, and we're seeing it manifest in the street. So that's just like clear as day right there. You can see how hypocritical they are, and that's just another reason why we're going to see a red tsunami because of that. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. All I'll say is that when you have young people, when I say young people, I'm talking like millennials making up 30% of the United States voting population, a lot of us being brought up on Obama for the most part. So when you think like 08 to, you know, 2016, a lot of us were in those formative years. It's not really a thought that I've completely seen, but I was able to kind of experience the perspective of it from overseas, and then kind of living here in the United States, and then growing up and kind of seeing what was being taught in schools, you know, the indoctrination of university students. So what we're essentially seeing are the consequences for that. A lot of these so-called educated folks being taught a lot of progressive liberal ideas. And like with a lot of examples of modern feminism, they're not going to necessarily support anything that is not in line with that. I mean, like, that's the thing. It's like, where were the feminists, you know, when a woman was being attacked by a fellow feminist man, as it was evidenced yesterday? And I think that the victim mentality is especially very, very helpful for millennials, because I think there's just a lack of healthy masculinity in our country these days. It's also something that I've talked about a little bit. There's just a lack of it being okay to be a man. So as a result, it's like you're in this weird, Verstine, you gotta unmute your mic, but because I see you nodding. But like, it's like you're in this weird mix where it's like men aren't even afraid to be men. You know, men are not even being poised to succeed. And on top of that, when you throw in socialism, which is basically like, hey, we're gonna give you equal pay for everybody. You don't have to work. It's like the millennial generation hasn't even worked enough years to really see why that is screwed up. You know, I haven't either. You know what I mean? It's like most millennials have not even worked 10 years, barely. So it's like you're sitting here wanting socialism. You're sitting here wanting equal pay, not really seeing the real repercussions as to like how you can like build yourself up. I can see why that would cater to a lot of young people. Universal healthcare, and like, you know, everybody gets paid equally, or make rich people poorer as opposed to making poor people more affluent. So that's, I think, where we're at. And I think it has to do with not just the voting age group, but also because of the university system that's indoctrinated like millions of millennials. And let's not forget student loans too. One of the biggest pushing factors of the left, but it keeps you enslaved for years. You know, like they preach all this consolidation stuff. Of course, they're going to vote Democratic Socialist. They're going to vote left because it hits you personally and it makes you feel helpless. Like you can't get out of that. You can't leave that because you're a minority or a young person or whatever. So that's my take on it. And I think that's why people are really, really bent out of shape. And it's more than just a race issue now. It's just if it's just not in line with what I believe, I'm opposed to it. You know, I mean, now they're, I don't know, hating on Susan Collins over what she said about Kavanaugh. And this is coming from Women's March. It's like now Susan Collins is a rape apologist and we shouldn't support people like her. I'm like, wasn't it always about all women? Not anymore. It's about a certain type of people. So,
hey Zach,
yeah.
Zach, I wanted to ask you because I was talking to my friend in Taiwan yesterday, and or a couple of days ago, and I was telling her how crazy it's gotten here. And you know, living overseas, I realized that most countries, especially like if they're not a first world country or Western country, they don't really do any investigative research. They just basically take the talking points from American news and just translate them into whatever language is spoken in that country. So do you see that in Malaysia as well? Or do you know?
I haven't. I'll be honest with you. I have not lived overseas in years. So I'm just like any other American. I'm just talking about my perspective. Like when Obama got elected, I was living in Shanghai at the time. And that was big. Like the Chinese had our own name for Obama. We loved Obama. Everybody overseas loved it. I mean, it was the election watched around the world. It was historic. So there's like nothing to, there's really, that was the perspective. But you have to keep in mind, like my perspective is not going to be representative of a lot of people because I was 13 at the time Obama was elected. You know, so it's just like when we look at that, I'm speaking from my experience as being a young person and why the left is made up of all these brainwashed individuals. And it's for all those things that I mentioned. It's education. It's a lack of manhood in our society right now. It's what you're taught in schools. It's media. I mean, we're a generation brought up on technology. And when you have the biggest corporations controlling speech, I don't blame a lot of people for going along with it. One thing I've noticed with a lot of millennials is that I don't really think that a lot of these young people are dumb. I just think that it's unsafe to be conservative. Like, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to tap into ideas like that. Most people I would like to think are sensible, but it's like there are people who are really belligerent, and then there are people that just kind of go along with the narrative, the rhetoric, because there's really no other way to go about it if you're a young person. Like, I think I've always really been conservative, but I always voted Democrat because you're a young person, because I'm a minority, and that's what everybody else is doing, so I'm going to do it. So that sort of corrosion of conformity is why people are what they are. And that's why a lot of people are also waking up, which is why I haven't lost hope in young people. You know, I really think that after this Kavanaugh thing, like, you're going to see like 5 to 10 million young millennials, so-called registered Democrats, walk away. And that's kind of already happened. There's data to support that. So,
yeah, my best friend's son is homeschooled, and she was telling me that he has a fear of social justice warriors. He's like, oh man, they like freak me out.
Brutal. I'm out here
because of the Me Too stuff.
Yeah, they don't hold back, and you will be chased out of restaurants, literally.
Oh yeah, awful.
So,
and it's like I think, you know, when the series of that I interview when I interview people on my channel, and just also watching other people's walk away videos, I've really realized how brainwashed people are, because mostly if you're a person of color, if you're a woman, everybody says they just voted Democrat because that's what they thought they were supposed to do. They never questioned it. They never thought about policies. They never thought about why they were voting, because usually, and same thing my mom told me, and I was like, well, what's the difference? When I was a kid, she's like, oh, the Democrats are for poor people. And I was like, okay, well, we're not rich, so you know, we're black, and I guess that's who I'm voting for, you know. And I just stuck to that until I had to question why I was voting, you know, and who I was voting for, and what I wanted. And I think a big thing is too, people really kind of need to set the attention of what they want, where they want this country to go. You know, because I think that that's another thing. People don't, they just kind of go with the flow. So I think it's also made this whole fiasco that's happened with Kavanaugh, and the whole fiasco that's happened since the 2016 election is really opening up people's eyes into like what they want, and maybe they could really be a part of the process of making this country a better place.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the next one. So who are your prime candidates for senators in your states, and why do you like or dislike them? So I guess, let me see, who's Promethius, Raquel, or American Curls, and we're from Texas. Conservative Mexican and Zach are from California. Prometheus, Mo is from Wisconsin, and Mike, you're from Florida, and Uber Guy, you're in Atlanta, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with, because I'll leave Texas for last, because Raquel and Prometheus and I will comment on that. But Jimmy J, who are your prime candidates for senators as your state? What do you?
Kemp and Stacey Abrams, pretty much. And all this is Stacey Abrams,
Okay.
Democratic side. Brian Kemp, Republican side. Be honest with you, majority of the things that's going on, Stacey Abrams is using that typical, let's do the, the fake promises, like, oh, we're going to have the housing, what's it called? Helping with down payment assistance, student loan forgiveness, stuff that does never happen. And to be honest with you, not one of the main reasons why I will be voting for Kemp is specifically so it's a bigger picture thing. It's not even just local anymore to me. I feel as though we need to be able to take the administration back, because if we miss this, pretty much a Democratic administration, and we won't be able to get nothing done. So, I mean, Georgia, I think that's a red state. We're going to pretty much be good.
All right. How about California? Conservative Mexican and Zach. What's going on? Tell me about your boys or your girls who are running for a Senate.
So as far as California goes, I'm really only paying attention to Orange County. I actually, to be honest, really just barely started getting into state and local politics. I would just do most of my videos based upon nationwide politics. In Orange County, you have Dana Rohrabacher going against Harley Rhoda.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important that he wins, because the other guy, Rauda, he's more of the establishment type. So everybody in California that's running for Congress and anything, they're just basically running on, we're not Trump. So we're not racist. We want to give you free healthcare and free education. So I've always said in all my videos that, in my opinion, California is the major state. Like we have to really, really focus on California, regardless of where you're from, because there's so much impact, and every other state sets its platform the same way as California, New York, and what Mike's seeing now in Florida. It's going far to the left, to where it's just we have to increase taxes. You can't lower taxes, and if you want to lower taxes, it's the same narrative. All you want to do is give tax cuts to the rich. And I've yet to see one politician on the left that says, hey, let's increase taxes on the rich and lower it for the poor and middle class. That's where I instantly went to the right, because I saw the Democrats right from the get-go for who they were, being in California. I've never been rich. I've always been middle class, and I've seen people that are milking the system, more or less kind of living a better life than you are. Like you're literally working your butt off, and people get programmed into milking the system. So they actually learn to deceive to get things. And you're the one that's actually funding all that. It's not the rich person that's paying for all that. It's the person that's trying to do it the right way, and then eventually millions of people just go, you know what? It's better off to just be deceitful and let somebody else pay for it all. So that's what's going on in my part of California.
Yeah, as far as California is concerned, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about Arizona as well, because that's probably where I'm going to end up moving to very, very soon. But for California, I mean, senators, you've got two choices. You got Dianne Feinstein, you got Kevin DeLeon. And both essentially Democrats, proponents of all the things that we've already talked about, and climate change and energy and all of that. Just very, very California, very, very green aspects. Again, not really too sure about it. I think I read a little bit into Kevin, and have supported him in some of those aspects. But the thing is, as far as local goes, like San Francisco, I mean, mayoral elections, London Breed's taking over. There's no real other person. I mean, with Ed Lee passing away just a while back, she was, I guess, the vice mayor or whatever, and now she's going to fully be that. But the interesting thing is actually Arizona, because Jeff Flake is stepping down, obviously as senator, and I think he already announced that. And he's got 2 replacements. He's got obviously a Democrat, which I think her name is Kristen Simeon or whatever. She was in the news recently. And then Martha McSally, who is a Republican, typical all-American senator, 20 years in the Air Force, like obviously a proponent for defending our borders. Border security in Arizona is like a big thing because you can just kind of wander across the border in Arizona. And the reason why I bring Arizona into the mix is Arizona is a swing state. It could go either way. It could be Democrat or it could be Republican. Right now, Doug Ducey, the governor, I mean, it's obviously a Republican red state, but I learned recently in recent years that it's actually a little bit of both. Like there's equal chances of a Democrat taking office as well as a Republican. With Martha McSally, the only thing I'll say about her, and I'm also critical of Republicans as well, is that she obviously did not support Trump in the beginning. She was one of those just typical went against the, went with the flow, like, oh, I don't like Trump because he doesn't like women. She's a Republican. She served as a congresswoman. But the thing is, ever since Trump endorsed her and has I guess shown his support for her, she has been kind of opposite, which just kind of stipulates that she's just like another typical Republican. Like, I don't really have an opinion. I would have to kind of see how that carries out. And I'm probably most likely going to still be voting in California upon the time, but in the future, that's something that I'll think about is, it's most likely going to be someone like Martha McSally because she just meets all the criteria. It's like border control and pro-Trump and war veteran. You were a combat veteran. That's a big thing. Like Arizona loves its Air Force combat veterans and all that. So I don't know. That's all I'll say about that from my perspective.
All right, guys. All right, guys. Is it us? It's American Curls, Promethius, and I. So, you still speaking, Zach? Hold on.
Good.
I think you were still speaking, and your mic got muted.
I'm done.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so for American Curls and Promethius and I, we're in Texas, and it's going to be, somebody was telling me that there's an independent, and he's going to vote for him because he doesn't really believe in the lesser of 2 evils. But anyway, long story short, it's Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz. What are your thoughts on them?
I'm definitely going to vote for Cruz. We've already voted for Cruz. My whole family, we've been voting for him. But I had some people in my, some conservatives that follow me on Facebook, and I've seen them say if you're in Texas, don't vote for Cruz because he's just as bad. And I don't think that people I think you do have to choose the lesser of 2 evils because no matter what, you're not going to agree with one person. Like what you said with Kavanaugh, someone sent me the Patriot Act thing too, and I think you have to look at the whole picture. And we can't let that other guy get in. You have to choose the lesser of 2 evils in this case because there's only 2 options. What can you do? Get the socialist, who's basically Hillary but a guy, or
white Obama.
Yeah, white Obama.
Or Justin Trudeau 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be mad about a few things about Cruz, and so I'm supposed to let this guy get in? No, no, no. There's nothing we can really do about the lesser of 2 evils. We just have to choose that way. There's no other way around it unless they change the way it's done. So yeah, Cruz. I'm definitely voting for Cruz. They keep on coming to my house and asking me to vote for Cruz too. So that's kind of funny.
So you're in Corpus. So is there a lot of Cruz support down there?
They don't seem to be that into politics here where I am. They are more in Dallas, Fort Worth area where I used to live. But I've seen a few Beto signs, like 3, 4. They don't seem to be that interested here.
God,
they're not pro and stuff in Austin. They don't really come out like that.
Oh my God, they're littered all over Austin. And I'd start looking into him just because when I was lifting a lot of people, they were, talking about him. And then I saw the signs everywhere, and I'm driving, rich people to rich neighborhoods where they want to talk about, all the problems and stuff. They want to talk about open borders, yet they're not going to be affected by it. And that was the thing that really woke me up. You know, I'm like, well, you live in a gated community. You know, you live far away from where all the illegal immigrants are going to move into. You're not going to be affected by the problems that's affecting the poor people. So, and they're just, I mean, you know, of course there are exceptions, but a lot of them that I've come across have just been so uppity and arrogant and just very, you know, like narrow-minded that now it's just become a vendetta. Like, like it's like, I'm gonna vote for Cruz, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I'm even voting, by the way. But it's like I don't even want Cruz to win. I want Beto to lose. If you know what I mean by that, you know what I mean. I just want him to lose, and I think if he does, there's gonna be riots. Like, and I'm not kidding.
Like in Austin?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they're serious there. They're not like that here. But I know Austin. They're
crazy. Yeah, I actually lifted a guy last night, and he was anti-Beto too. He was Latino, but he asked me, and I was like, no, you know, because we were talking about the Kavanaugh situation. And it's funny because I think his friend was pro because he sat in the front and his friend sat in the back. And as I'm, you know, talking about how I feel, his friend's like all shuffling in the seat. And when we got to the house, his friend like got out the car and like slammed the door. And we were still talking about it. He was like, yeah, I don't like Beto. He's fake and blah, 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 blah. You know, and his friend's all huffing and puffing as we got out the car. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I was watching the debate with Cruz, and I think they're going to have 2 more before elections. And, you know, it's the same talking points. You know, Beto's going up talking about, oh, another unarmed black man shot. I was like, dude, wow, okay. You know, so you're pandering to the black vote. Like, we can see through that now. I hope you know that. Like, either he's an idiot or he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, or he's being told what to say, just like Obama was.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, they, like I said, they got a guy that's relatively handsome. I mean, I don't think he's cute, but he's more, you know, physically. I mean, if we're going by aesthetics, that matters, you know, a lot in society. People want to say that it doesn't, but it does. Even when Ted Cruz was kicked out, one guy was like, Beto is more attractive than you. You know, and they're doing stuff. They had a rally a week ago. They're having like concerts with celebrities, like Leon Bridges played, and so did it was Leon Bridges and Willie Nelson, and I think there may have been some other people, but it was huge, and they had a lot of people there. I'm just like, wow, these people are falling for it again. It's like watching what I fell for with Obama. It's a little bit triggering for me because I'm just like, now I see the game that they're playing. And I see all of the fallacies, and people are just buying into it. You know, supposedly intelligent people too, that, you know, lawyers and people of upper education that are just buying into the whole Beto thing, and they're saying like, oh, he's such a nice guy. And the thing that really like gets me like livid is when he comes out and he's like, I'm tired of all the divisiveness, and I just want to stop and I work with people. I'm like, but it's coming from the left. It's coming from your people. You're the one, like, you're the people that's causing the divisiveness. I think I said it right. Anyway, Promethius. Talk about.
Yeah, okay, so Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke, I actually took a little bit of time to look at their their political history. So when I looked at, I mean, it just took like 30 minutes. But so it looks like Beto O'Rourke he's against pro-family small business tax cuts. Beto is against something Safety Security Act of 2018. So he's already jeopardizing family and national security. He's pro-carbon tax, but human beings have carbon inside of them. The Opioid Crisis Act, he didn't vote for that. So it's not saying he supports it, but I mean, you would think that would be a no-brainer to vote against it. Let's see. He said no to for Americans to have access to lower premiums, on top of supporting the Obama Affordable Care Act. Damn Obamacare. So I mean, it looks like, let's see, economic growth, regulation relief, and I think it's Constitutional Protection Act. He's against that. He's against a bill called Securing Americans' Future Act 2018, and he's against the Citizens' Right to Know Act, and that was basically in regards to the patients having a right to know the medications that the doctors were trying to sell to them. The side effects, the prices, and I think the intent behind it was to lower down the prescription prices.
Wait. So that would stop the doctors from telling you if there was something in the drug?
I think it's in regards to pricing. It might be in regards to like the contents in the drug, but basically, it appears to be a maximizing profit scheme. Basically with the trade-off being, a citizen's right to know and possibly their health. The last thing I want to state, and I'm going to be voting for Ted Cruz because he said no to a tax increase. He's pro-gun. He's obviously pro-wall. He appealed Obamacare, so he is like in his record. But I think Beto O'Rourke actually supported it, like I said.
Big surprise.
No. Let's see what else. Beto O'Rourke. I don't like that he's pro-choice. I don't like that he actually wants to have government spending on renewable energy. And the reason behind that is because every single time you have government intervention inside of a corporation, the results are always negative. Capitalism is supposed to be separate from the government. You can look into Amazon, we're basically, that's government subsidized. I think we're paying like $1.48 a package. So we are forced to pay for this company. And I also think that Walmart might be government subsidized. So I'm completely against us taking our tax money and supporting these corporations that are already making a killing. But that's a long list or why I don't like Beto O'Rourke, and I will be voting for Ted Cruz. He is currently, I think, 50% in approval, and Beto O'Rourke is at 44%. So Ted Cruz is winning by 6 points.
Well, yeah, according to the fake polls, because are we supposed to believe them? And there's a part of me that, I'm going to vote, but I'm also going to pray that we have white hats inside because the tech companies are going to try and intervene. And it seems like, I just feel like just within the nature of how things have been going in this country and just knowing the background of Texas, that I don't even really believe that Beto is really close to Cruz, right? So it's only like Austin, some parts of San Antonio, maybe Houston that has a huge, a lot volume of Beto supporters, but I feel like he has a really good PR team. PR teams are everything nowadays. They create the illusion of things. And he's very, he's been on all of these talk shows. HBO did a special on him. Vice has done a special on him. He was on Real Time with David Bill Maher. He was on a few other, like late night talk shows. That's all PR stuff. And then they're, they're putting out, press saying, oh, can Beto O'Rourke, win against Ted Cruz? And, and I think that they're really setting it up to look like that he has a lead on Cruz, and he's even not lead, but he's close to Cruz. So then the tech companies can step in and switch it, and it won't look like it came out of nowhere, because even I was couriering for a while too, and I would have to drive a lot outside of Austin, and I didn't see the support outside of Austin for Beto O'Rourke that I saw in other cities that I would have to drive through. I'd have to drive sometimes an hour away, So
Corpus Christi, they're like when you first mentioned his name, I was like, Beto, like I had to think. I was like, who? Yeah, I was like, and I was like, what are you talking about? But yeah, because they're really. Even though there's a lot of Mexicans here, they're just not into politics like that. Like, no, I don't think he's that popular outside.
Outside, of those cities.
Like Houston, Austin, probably. I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth. They're pretty conservative up there, so I doubt that there's a lot of people up there that's for him, even though it's kind of liberal.
Yeah, but they know better. Right? And the whole thing that also trips me out is how, like, his name is Robert. I call him Bob, or his name is Robert O'Rourke, but I'm just like, your name is Bob, dude. Like, stop trying to pander to the Latino community. by using Beto as your
Right.
as your nickname, and that's so ghetto and gay. Like, come on. And then also, what else is I gonna say? Yeah, I had more to say, but I forgot. Anybody else want to say anything more about Beto?
Well, hey,
Yeah,
that was good work, Promethius. I have to say, you got a lot of good information. I didn't know some of that stuff. So
yeah, but see, I really can't stand Beto because I agree with Truth or Talk. He's kind of he seemed like a Hispanic Obama or whatever, and and it's all every single time. Every single time I turn around, it's like all these Democrats and even some Republicans, but all these Democrats, they act like they're the next Messiah. And they stand up on their damn soapbox, and they try to claim this moral high ground, like it's king of the hill, and it's ridiculous, because when you look at the policies, like I just read, you see that their intentions are the complete opposite from what they're projecting. And then on top of that, it's really funny because they always try to paint the Republicans like we're the fucking boogeyman. Oh, sorry for cursing, but we're like we're the boogeyman, and like I don't see anything wrong with Ted Cruz fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in politics, you already know what it is. You can't sit here and be a little altar boy. I mean, you're gonna debate, you're gonna argue, y'all gonna have disagreements, y'all gonna y'all. That's how it is. Politics is messy, and I'm sure everybody understands that.
Yeah, and the same thing, even with his name, right? I can see like how he's trying to pander to the Latins because they know that they're losing the black vote. And even if you go to his website's he has an option to totally translate his whole website in Spanish. So I'm like, who are you catering to? And then he also offered to debate Ted Cruz in Spanish. I was like, well, what about the other people that don't speak Spanish? How are they going to know, what he said? I was like, oh, it just gets on my nerves so much. I can't stand his butt. And then he said he's gonna take steps to impeach Trump. I saw in an interview that he said that he was gonna do that if he gets in. So a lot of these people, it's like they rounded up all the butthurt Hillary supporters. I wouldn't even see that, and that's his audience, right? Because I don't even see. It seems like a lot of Bernie supporters, they were like almost there. They have, generally speaking, it seems like they have a better head on their shoulders than the Hillary supporters or the people that support Hillary. Man, I think they're just gone. Like, they're gone, man. they're zombified, man. It's so. So they got Florida these zombies next. Just fooling them, huh?
Are we talking Florida next? I didn't know if you were.
Oh, Mike, I'm sorry. Yes.
You can't leave out Florida, guys. Come on.
I'm sorry. I thought you got everybody else. Okay. Oh, we got Mike Emma. We're just going. I just can't stand Beto so much. I just want to. We're not talking about the red. We're just talking about how much we hate Beto. This whole. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike. Go.
Beto sounds like beta. Actually,
but, I know.
Anyway, no, as you guys are talking, I'm just kind of listening and hearing. I'm like, there's like a breadth of diversity of politics across California, Texas, and Florida. And, Florida is extremely unique because, it's a swing state. So swing state politics, there's a lot of moving parts. And I'm really happy to be engaged in it because last week I went to first of all, we have two important races going on. We have a Senate race where there's a Democrat already in there, Bill Nelson. He's a huge anti-Second Amendment guy. After the Parkland shooting, he's the one that went to that CNN town hall and was like, talking to Dana Loesch and trying to get all these like young, impressionable kids to think that guns kill people. He literally said that. He's like, and it's a soundbite they used to like run campaign attack ads against him. He's like, at the end of the day, the gun is what is going to do the killing. And I'm just like, see, this is liberal speak right here.
I'm picturing legs.
Yeah, like the gun is what actually kills the person. It's not the person that pulls the trigger. It's the gun that does it. So anyway, he's in Senate right now, but our former governor, soon-to-be former governor, Rick Scott, he's a Republican. He's going against him, and hopefully we can flip that seat red. And then I think, even bigger race is our seat for his replacement for governor. So we have Andrew Gillum, which is a far left, George Soros backed candidate. This guy is being investigated by the FBI. I looked at his platform, and he's been very transparent with what he wants to do. He wants to expand healthcare. He wants healthcare for all. He's going to raise the taxes. He wants to abolish ICE. He wants open borders. He wants to impeach Trump. He's talked about that. And he wants to ban assault weapons. So Florida is the most pro-gun state in the union. And so you would think that, man, there's no way. There's no way this guy has a shot, because Florida hasn't had a Democratic governor in like at least 30 years. And not only that, he's the most liberal to ever run. He wasn't even supposed to make it as far as he did. He wasn't even supposed to make it out of the primaries, but he got a shot in the arm from Bernie Sanders, and then Soros funding his campaign. So he made it. And not only has he made it, he's leading Trump's pick, which is Ron DeSantis. He's a guy that hasn't been in politics. He's just like a Marine, I think, veteran. And basically, Trump handpicked him and said, yeah, this is my guy. So he surged in the polls, but he's losing to this guy. So you have to wonder why. And so when I went to Ron DeSantis's meetup, or his meet and greet in Tampa last week, I was talking to people. They're like, the reason why Gillum's winning is, for one, he's got the funding. He's got all these backers and donors. He's also a black guy. So naturally, you guys know how this works with identity politics. He went right for that at the beginning, like, oh, they're just trying to, right after he won, he's like, yeah, I'm a black man and I'm disgusted by the racism and blah, blah. Then he's got all kind of celebrities campaigning for him, coming down here doing concerts. Hillary endorsed him. Obama endorsed him. They've got all of these celebrities. Diddy said something about him. See, this is their way. This is what they do. They appeal to emotion because they know they can't win on policy. Florida's a low tax state, and I think he's going to have to implement a state income tax in order to pay for this socialist program that he wants to implement. But the other thing that they're doing that's super strategic down here is they're appealing to the Latin vote. So that hurricane that hit Puerto Rico last year, right, Maria? Well, we have a whole lot of refugees in Florida from Puerto Rico, and Puerto Ricans vote overwhelmingly Democratic. We also have a lot of Cubans here. Cubans vote overwhelmingly Republican. So it's going there's 29 electoral votes up for grabs. Like, Trump's going to have to win Florida again. It's not like he's just got it in the bag, And that's what I like about Trump is he knows better than to go out to California. He's not going to flip California, but he's also not doing what Hillary did, which was take advantage, take for granted the states that she did have. Trump's still campaigning in West Virginia and Kansas and all these other like super conservative states are going to vote for him regardless. Oh, conservative Mexican, I think you got to mute your thing. I'm hearing feedback. But yeah, so I lost my train of thought. Sorry. So yeah, Trump is actually going to have to campaign in Florida because 29 electoral votes up for grabs. And with this election being super close, going down to the wire, I don't know how it's going to play out. The polls showed that Ron DeSantis was losing by 9 points, but he recently pulled even, so it's pretty much dead even right now. But you guys need to be watching Florida's election, because if it flips blue, that is not good. Even if we do take the House, or the Dems don't take the House, it's still not going to be good for 2020 if the biggest swing state is blue. And there's also this other kicker. The next governor of Florida is going to be able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices for the state of Florida. We have 3 retiring in 2018 or 2019. So whoever wins is going to have a huge advantage to sway the future of Florida. Like, if Florida becomes a blue state permanently, that's not good, because Democrats then know, all right, we have California, 55 electoral votes, boom. Florida, 29, New York, 29. They're trying to flip Texas. I don't see it happening, but with open borders, it could easily happen. Between open borders in Texas and people coming over from Cali, those liberals trying to flee, they're just going to vote for the same shit that they left, which is stupid, obviously. But if Texas, Florida, New York, and California all are blue states voting Democrat. Will a Republican ever truly win again? So that's why I say, like, Florida, we have to keep Florida red. So even though you guys don't live here, please do whatever you can to get this information out, because people are kind of freaking out down here. You have a lot of conservatives, like super hardcore conservatives, that are going to turn out, but then you also have a lot of elderly seniors. They may not be able to get to the polls, so people are offering to drive them to vote. Just a lot of different things going on, but that's pretty much it. I don't want to take up too much more time on this so we can move to the next topic, but Florida is going to be huge for 2018 and for 2020.
Wait,
Can
I
throw
want
something in
to.
there for Georgia?
I'm sorry. Go on. What are you saying?
I was gonna throw something in there for Georgia real quick. Like when
Go
you
on.
really look at this, a lot of people don't really look into different me myself, I'll look at every single politician and know everything in and out. But if I just look at the surface, majority of the people on the Democratic side, they give you a pipe dream. The one that's on the Republican side, like Kemp right now, I'm looking at the sites and like comparing them, talking about building businesses, putting Georgia people first and things of that nature. So pretty much on the conservative side, they're trying to pretty much help the average citizen be able to get their footing together on an even playing ground. And, you know, there's some Democrats that promise all the time, and they're just not going to come through it. They're going to ban ICE, all types of craziness, like the mayor out here in Georgia. I almost positive we're going to easily get it in Georgia, simply. I mean, but I think that this red wave is bigger than what it's expected to be, and it's going to come real hard. Pause.
Hey, Mike, what you're saying, so according to the information you're saying, the socialist is winning by the polls in Florida?
Yeah, well, it's a dead heat right now, but and you know, I try not to look too much into the polls because you know the polls said something else for 2016, and so people said don't put too much stock in the polls, but I still kind of did initially. That's why I was kind of freaked out, like, damn, he's ahead 9 points, even though this guy got backed by Trump, and it's already a red state and it's a Republican state, even though it's a swing state. Florida's still a Southern Republican state, but with the shifting demographics and after that hurricane, there's so many Puerto Ricans here, and Gillum's a black guy, so that matters. He's going to carry the black vote overwhelmingly just because skin color. So DeSantis has to work twice as hard just to win Florida, whereas if he just had, let's say, even a white establishment Democrat he's running against, it'd be a breeze for him. So I think his campaign kind of was lagging, and now it's catching up now that he's finally starting. He's gone into attack mode, so he's exposing Gillum for some of his ties. He's tied to some, like, I guess it's radical, arguably whatever, radical Islamic group, and it's anti-Semitic. And then also he's being investigated by the FBI, or he's being investigated by the FBI. He says he's not being investigated by the FBI. It's people around him, but they had undercover FBI agents that went on a trip with him because he was using like taxpayer dollars to fund personal expenses and stuff. So for people that say that they're not for, they don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils, there's absolutely the lesser of two evils. Like, why would you want someone who's already corrupt having more of your money by increasing your taxes? So that's more evil than someone taking less of your money and being corrupt, because humans are going to be corrupt if they're in power. So why would you vote for the person that wants more power? So that's this guy. He's running for governor, and people are freaking out about it. And there was something else I was going to mention too as it relates to this guy. So he's trying to raise taxes. He's being investigated by the FBI. He wants sanctuary. He wants Florida to be a sanctuary state too. So it's just kind of, there is so much about it that you can't even like, I can't even like make a list of it and keep track of it all, because it's too much and there's too many moving parts. And with it being a month to go, it feels like it's going to be a photo finish. It's going to come down to the freaking wire.
Somebody has to mute their mic. Okay. Yeah, I just I don't understand. I lost my train of thought. How about, like, we'll just go to Mo. You want to talk about Wisconsin?
All right. I'm gonna talk about Wisconsin. You know, It's this senator out here named Tammy Baldwin. She's gay. She's a white liberal, and I'm just being real with you. You know what I'm saying? They don't just call her Tammy Baldwin. They call her Taxing Tammy. And this woman is evil. And the reason why I'm saying she's evil because she's great friends with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton and them two are tight. And that should give you a reason not to want her in office. Because Wisconsin has a meltdown because this is the first time Wisconsin have ever had a red wave when Trump have won. For real, it's been blue. But so when Wisconsin made history, and I'm so glad Wisconsin made history, but Tammy Baldwin, she got to go. I'm going to read something that she said. She said, Tammy Baldwin said that Clinton is the most popular woman around the globe. And it's a no-brainer to support her for president. Right there. That should give y'all the green light right there to not to go ahead and vote for Tammy Baldwin. We got a guy named Charlie Barman. This is what he said. He said, "We the people. I believe the government is corrupt." He believes that. He's for the people. You know what? All you gotta do is be for the people, and I'm gonna roll with you. And Tammy Baldwin's not for the people. She's not for the people. She don't care about black community because there are murders I see here in Wisconsin. She don't care. All she want to do is, you know what I'm saying? This is the most segregated city I live in. One of the most segregated. If you look at it, this is one of the most segregated cities. So these Democrats down here, they have the same mentality as the rest of the Democrats, like, you know what I'm saying, Maxine Waters, all of them. They all want sanctuary cities. They all do. And Tammy Baldwin, she got to go. I'm letting y'all know. If y'all ain't heard of Tammy Baldwin, Google her up. And you will see what I'm talking about. Because that woman is corrupt. Her and Hillary is just like this. Her and Hillary came here. Them two are tight.
Gross.
I mean, of course, Hillary is tight with a lot of the Democrats, but them two are tight. But they don't talk about that. You know? Y'all go ahead. I'm done, Rand.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot one last thing. This is the last little point I was going to make about the governor of Florida, the race. So the guy, Andrew Gillum, that's running on the Democrat side, he's the current mayor of Tallahassee. Tallahassee has the highest crime rate in the entire state of Florida since he's been the mayor. So for 4 years straight, the murder rate in Tallahassee and the crime, overall violent crime, higher than the state average. So that's another thing DeSantis is attacking him on. So, you know, if you guys come across anyone that's from Florida or anywhere in your timeline, just mention those little tidbits that I gave you. Highest crime in the whole state, socialist, backed by Soros, you know, being investigated by the FBI, you know, all these things that should raise, you know, red flags for independents and people that aren't sure where they're going to vote.
I was wondering, okay, you were saying, because I saw that video of the guy you were talking about saying that he takes money from George Soros. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, isn't that considered foreign money, and isn't that not allowed? And if so, then he was caught on tape saying that he's taken money from George Soros.
Well, I think George Soros lives in New York, so I guess he's technically a U.S. I don't really know what he is other than a war criminal. He's been kicked out of most European countries. He's been kicked out of Hungary. And you know what else? Trump called him out. This is why we all love Trump, because Trump will call out the bullshit right there. Trump called him out on Twitter and said, don't pay any attention to these screeching liberals, these people cornering people in the elevators. This is all George Soros money. George Soros is funding stuff. So that makes me think that Trump is going to try to get him kicked out of our country because he's meddling in our elections, you know, like he did in Hungary and like he did in other European countries. And he got kicked out of those countries. And now he's living here in the U.S. So I'm really hoping that whatever Soros is tied up in, and I don't know everything about him other than what he's done in the past and that he's a war criminal, but whatever he's doing that's corrupt in this country, I feel like Trump is onto it, and hopefully he can weed it out. But I think we got to get past midterms first, and maybe we can see some other high-profile arrests like, you know, Hillary.
Yeah, hopefully. Are there any Democratic run cities that don't have high crime rates and drug issues and
Right.
murder rates?
Right, but
Is
they
there?
have strict gun laws. They're segregated.
That's one thing that I noticed. The only liberal cities that don't have lots of crime are where they're white, and that's what kind of really saddened me when I got into politics, was that why is it only our cities are jacked up? I mean, if it's just the color of skin, then what are we doing wrong? And that's they always go to racism, but it's your politics. Simple as that. Just give us our money back. Let us do it ourselves, because poverty is a big indicator of crime. Obama said it himself. It's the two things: poverty and family, and it's the one thing that the Democratic Party just never seems to want to talk about, and that's basically it. Fix your politics. Race doesn't matter. Plain and simple. That's it.
Yeah, you got the one in Georgia actually, like he's fighting and a lot of the gangs and things of that nature. So you got a lot of rappers and stuff like that. They claim that they don't want violence in Georgia or Atlanta, but they want to go super for Stacey Abrams or whatever the name is. Listen, I'm just voting red. I'm just getting ready for this red wave, to be honest with you. I touched up a little bit about what they're doing, but I just don't trust Democrats at all, period. Just even to a local extent, because I feel as though once they get into office, they're just going to be influenced and become people pleasers and not do what's right for people.
Okay, so can I speak real quick?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so we're on question number 3. Do you believe in voting for the lesser two evils? Okay, well, yes, I believe that it's necessary. Because if you don't do anything at all, you're just being complicit. So that's kind of the problem. What happened with Obama in the first place, aka Couch Commander? Everybody just got really complacent over the 8 years, and I remember the beginning of Obama's term, and then I remember at the end of his second term, it just seemed like everybody was chilling in the couch, everybody was hating on one another. You know what I'm saying? And it's a matter, if you're complacent, then you're just complicit to the evil in the first place. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of was skipping. I mean, we were talking about it as we were speaking, so I wasn't going to ask that question particularly. But I'm glad that you said what you said. We are on. What are some policies would you like to see changed or stay the same? Anybody?
In which state or what?
In your state, anywhere, it doesn't matter.
Go ahead. Y'all go ahead.
I don't know. Probably just not so much gun control in California. But again, like going to Arizona. So Arizona is pretty friendly when it comes to gun control, or gun ownership, I should say. Because we've all already seen the data associated with that, with more gun control, it's actually more dangerous. There are more crimes or more murders that are committed by guns. And I think I've said this in several different places, but the only real thing that stops bad people with guns are good people with guns at the end of the day. So I think disarming people who need to have arms is not a good idea. And providing adequate training in a conducive environment where people are being trained and educated properly about gun ownership is important. Just, for safety's sake, that's one thing I would like to see out of California. I don't really know if that's going to happen. I know Arizona's a lot more friendly towards that. So, yeah.
So
Build that wall.
And what I want to see changed is voter ID. There's this guy I've been following, Mark Muser. He's running for Secretary of State, and he's been going to cities and he's been looking up locations where people are registered to vote. And according to California state law, you have to actually live in the residence that you're registered to vote in. And these people, their laundromats, their residences that don't even exist. I think there was a place in Malibu where 75 people were registered to vote, and there was no residence there.
There was one in Long Beach where it's 23 people registered to vote at a laundromat. Well, I don't think anybody lives in a laundromat. So voter fraud has been a big thing in California that the left has constantly attacked. I mean, they've actually advocated for just stricter voter ID, and every time you try doing that, the ACLU will sue, saying that you're being discriminatory. You can't have stricter voter laws because people can't get to where they need to vote. Some people don't have IDs, and that's where California's killing the rest of us, because they're just rigging the system from voting. It's not even, they're not even hiding it. And if you try to go against it, they just call you racist. It's always the color card, the elderly card. They can't get there, and it's just that, alongside with illegal immigration, is just it's such a big thing that you guys don't even realize. It'll just, if it keeps going unchecked, it'll destroy the rest of the country. It's pure. It's in essence leading to socialism just through overpopulation.
Have you guys seen, speaking of that conservative Mexican, the whole voter ID, who's not muted? I'm getting feedback. Okay. Have you guys seen that Ami Horowitz video where he goes and he asks like it's sort of like what white liberals think of black people, and he was asking them about voter ID laws, and they were like, voter ID laws are racist, and they were like, well, black people can't even afford a voter ID because they're so poor and they don't know how to get to the DMV and they have no access to internet. I'm like, damn, do they still think that we're like in Africa with like living in the woods or something? Because that's what it sounded. And he goes, and then after that, he goes and he asks black people, he tells black people what the white liberals said. And they were like very offended, of course, but that's the whole thing about them playing, they're probably, these kids that have never really been around other people going to school. And then, this is what they're being taught in school. Anyway, you want to say something?
Yeah, I oh, okay.
Somebody? Anybody?
I
can go.
I got something.
Go ahead.
I think
I got something I want to say. Go ahead.
I don't know, something I'm really passionate about. One thing I would love to see changed is I would love to see a radical transformation of the public education system, because the public and college too, I want them to get rid of the profit structure if they really want to put people through college, but I digress on that. But public education, we see the manifestation of that in our society with the people protesting in the streets, and they don't even know why. They don't know anything about the Constitution. They don't know anything. They have no facts. And it's because it's been so one-sided. I've always said, like, public education is controlled information, and it's just a liberal narrative constantly. Like, it's not like you're telling students, here are the facts, here's the information, here's what capitalism has done, here's what socialism has done. What do you think? Mm-hmm. It's pretty much, so capitalism is the patriarchy, Western imperialism, here's the destruction across the world, here's the socialist utopia we're pushing for. Let's read the Communist Manifesto and like that kind of stuff. I know they're not doing that in high school, but they're not teaching civics as far as I know. They're not teaching American history. And if they are, it's obviously a very left-leaning version of it. And who knows what they're saying about Trump now? Who knows what they're saying about Obama? Are they reporting it factually, or is it opinion-based? And I just think it's really important to limit school board members. School board members need term limits, right? They don't need to have political incentives when their job is to serve the students, not to get reelected and stay on the school board and become bureaucrats, because that's what it is essentially. And anything that the government runs sucks. Like the DMV, that sucks. We need free market education. I really do think the free market could solve public education. Just let it go back to the states, go back to the way it was, and then let parents decide if they want to homeschool, charter school, whatever, because I think we need several generations of free thinkers. And right now we have a bunch of hive mind group thinkers. And that's where you're seeing this mob mentality that we're trying to get a handle on. And I think the way to dig this thing up by the root is to reform education.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you really need a Department of Education for people to get a good education. And I think that's the same thing with a lot of social programs that are put into place to ensure that people are getting education. I agree. I think that is something, being somebody who's just still somewhat fresh out of the university system, it's definitely needed, some much needed perspective as well. And I mean, that's the unfortunate thing, is maybe someone here can correct me if I'm wrong, but do schools here adhere to a certain standard, or is it just more of a certain level of participation in K through 12? I'm not really sure what it's like here in the States, because most of my life I was educated overseas, but thoughts? Everybody's so polite. No one's interrupting each other.
Yeah, the education basically it is kind of like what everybody said.
So is that it? Is that it?
Yeah, but just talk over me. It's good.
Okay, no, it's cool. Anybody else want to add? I want to go to the next one.
Can you hear me?
I'm kind of skipping some of the questions just because we're answering some of them as we're talking. Okay, so what do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to piggyback back on what Mike just said as far as public education reform. I quit going to college because I took political science, and my Republican teacher said Donald Trump had a 0% chance of winning. My Republican teacher, I called him out in front of our class, and I said, I barely got into politics, and I'm more of a Republican than you are. And he goes, why do you say that? I'm like, you're saying he has a 0% chance of winning. You're not a Republican. And it's just from seeing, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a lot of Dinesh D'Souza or Ben Shapiro, how skewed our public education system is to the left is ridiculous, that you're not getting an education. You're just throwing your money away. You'd be better off going to Barnes & Noble, spending $1,000, getting economics book, psychology, philosophy, and political science. So Mike it nails it on the head when it comes to the public education system. In California, they got rid of intermediate algebra to get a bachelor's degree. And it's all just a cash cow to get people into school and then say, okay, we need it to be free, because what's better for society is an educated society. But you're not educated. It's a lower down version of education, because you're just bringing migrants from another country and you're educating them, and the rest of us are getting nothing. I mean, it's ridiculous, the education, especially in California.
Exactly. There needs to be a lot more like technical training, like train people for jobs that are actually out in the economy, so that people can have jobs and not be struggling because they got some feminist gender studies degree or whatever.
And also like more apprenticeships, that's like a really great way to learn. I can definitely speak for the education system, being not only being born and raised in California, but having to teach there for 8 years as well. It's awful.
Can I say something?
Anybody else want to add to that?
Can you hear me?
Last question. Okay. Next
Hello?
one. Why do you think so many people are falling for the promise of socialism? We already kind of touched upon that. We started to touch upon that. Is there any?
Y'all hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, okay. Look, I didn't have no volume. Can I say something right quick?
Go ahead.
All right. Look, okay, so I got my son, he's going to school right now, and from personal experience, I see how they're doing these kids, and it seems like they're not trying to teach these children like logical, critical thinking skills. I mean, much less even like memorizing type skills. It seems like a lot of these curriculums are very emotional based, if that makes any type of sense. And there are just certain things that like, one thing that a teacher was teaching was something to the likes that with American history, all the white people had all the black people as slaves, even though that's not the case. And my son's only like 7. You feel me? So that's one thing, but I think it's important to note, not only is it the education, but nobody brought up culture. And I think there's actually a connection in between the education and the culture. And, they kind of bounce back and forth between one another. because the way that our current culture is set up, we saw what happened with Brett Kavanaugh. It seems like everybody's going on a witch hunt. Everybody's going on a mission to destroy the best and the brightest of the country. Brett Kavanaugh, he had an impeccable record. He was a devout Christian, and, he worked his butt off. He earned it. But yet and still, he had to go through what he had to go through. And I'm suspecting that the education is basically going to be set up in the same manner, so there would be negative reinforcements to excel, so to speak. And then there's positive reinforcements to have that victim mentality or to get all emotional and get mad and frustrated, so it really worries me with the education system, because there's such a high focus on emotions, but in regards to critical thought or actual real information, it doesn't seem like it's as strong. And then on top of that, the education system actually used to value reading and writing, but now the way that it's set up, they don't care about reading and writing. And it worries me. If you can't read and write, you can't comprehend anything. So we have generations upon generations growing up, not being able to comprehend anything. And then they're so emotional in the first place. And then everybody's wondering, why can't I get through to them? Because they can't even write a damn essay. So, I agree with Mike. We really need to work on the education system. And I think, personally speaking, from personal experience, I think these parents need to step up and get involved. It's the complicity that's allowing these things to happen.
Did you tell me you homeschool, Prometheus?
No, I don't.
American Curls, you homeschool, right?
Yes, I homeschool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did you
my whole family homeschool? But for the same reason,
well, I know. I'm feeling dumb. I want you to tell the people.
But for the same reasons that Mike, Nificent, and Promethius, all the stuff that you guys just said, that's why I homeschool. So yeah, you guys are right about that.
Yeah, the other I don't think you guys have even met her, but my best friend, who also, we start this channel together, she homeschools her 3 kids, and one of the reasons she's not really as active, that's one of the main reasons, but she's had to homeschool too. And her kids are super smart, super smart. And when she started, when she was looking into homeschooling, she was doing a lot of research, and she actually found some information that a lot of Ivy League schools or prestigious schools actually seek out homeschool kids because they're so smart.
They do. That's true.
So I thought that's really interesting, because there's also just this taboo about homeschool kids, that they don't have a social life. They're weird. They're not, they're antisocial. They're awkward. They're not as smart as people that actually go to school. But that can't be further from the truth. So I
think it's pushed by the media. I remember I didn't notice this stuff years ago, but now I notice, now that I homeschool, and there was a kid who won a spelling bee, and he was homeschooled, and he was being questioned by it was a news channel, and she was like, well, don't you wish you were at regular school? And I was like, why would you ask him that? He just won a spelling bee, he's doing fine. And the kid was like, no, I like homeschooling. And she was like, but don't you want friends? And that's when I realized that I think it's the media that's pushing this idea that these kids are, they're on lockdown, they don't know people, they don't know how to act in public. And so I do think that it's just how there's propaganda to push the liberal agenda. They're pushing this narrative that homeschooling is breeding a bunch of crazy psychopaths.
Incident, I think, I forgot. It was a family that was being held hostage. They were doing something to the kids. I can't remember exactly, but they tried to get on that bandwagon and try and talk about how horrible it was in homeschooling. And they're actually a very, very strong community. I would not want to mess with homeschoolers. They actually put a shutdown on that situation when they were actually trying to come after and talk about homeschooling is it's evil, it's bad, it's creating all these You know, that's actually a good solution to school shootings too. All these people that want to whine and talk about school shootings. Well, if you homeschool, then it wouldn't be an issue. You know,
Right?
I'm just saying.
But it's got to be very hard to homeschool you because, like, how would the parents go to work and be able to do that? That's just impossible, you know. Like, because I would love to homeschool my son, but hey, got to make money.
Well, you know, you're right. You know, and I think the system is also designed that way, right, to keep us very distracted, and then also keep us, you know, because it's basically like free babysitting, pretty much, right? But they have your children's minds most of the day, most of the time. So it's an excellent, and now they're even trying to push, you know, try and get students into school even earlier, right? So, you know, you hear about stuff in China and in Russia when they were indoctrinating children, and how a lot of the parents or the children's actually turned their own parents in, you know, to the government for their views. And it was, you know, because they were being indoctrinated through school. And now that my friend is maybe she has a little more time, I would actually like to interview her about homeschooling, because there are a lot of resources now. There are even groups, right? So maybe if you can't do it yourself, you can rotate certain days with parents. They also have meetup groups where the children can go and socialize with other children. You know, she found a bunch of groups where she does that. Like, her kids go on camping trips and stuff, and they're not like even rich or anything by any means, but she had the will and she found a way to make it happen. You know, it does, a lot of that also comes with family support and community support. And if we, you know, really put, you know, energy into having a community that supported homeschooling and taking all of these taboos out of society, I think it's actually a real thing that can be accomplished, you know?
Yeah. But what you were saying about the school, I agree with that. And I think that that's why it's important for us to vote conservative, or at least look into the people school choice, because a lot of conservatives are fighting for school choice. And so you're gonna have to work, some people, but if you have a choice of what school your kid goes to, if you're not forced to be in, you know, your kid's forced to be in a bad school just because you don't have a lot of money. And I don't think that's right. And so I do think that that's another reason. And a lot of liberals, Democrats, especially Black Democrats, they don't even realize that. They don't realize that they don't have to be in these school districts, but they just keep voting for Democrats. Democrats will make you stay in that crappy school district, like, until the kid is 18, and they're getting messed up in those school districts. I have family members in the South Side of Chicago. They can't put their kids in public school. They pay for private school because they'll come out with a bunch of gangsters if they do. Like, you and the Democrats, they won't do anything about it. They want your kids to go to those schools. I hate that. It makes me so mad.
You have me rolling. I think last symposium, American Girls, when you were like, "Haven't you seen Lean on Me?"
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. You're like, it's still the same, and you're like, that was back in the 80s. It hasn't changed.
Yeah,
totally right.
It hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. Now we have school shootings too. It's ridiculous.
On top of that, you know, yeah, man.
See, we're talking about the lesser of two evils. Okay, which side is going to let you decide your children's education? See, lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
No, but the Republicans are trying to take away the education. They're evil.
No.
Evil.
The craziest conspiracy about this is they're saying school choice is actually racist. And when Donald Trump talks about school choice and make America great again, he's actually dog whistling. He wants to go back to when the government, I think it was Dwight Eisenhower, whoever it was that desegregated the schools and said, no, this is unconstitutional. Well, then they went for school choice, and when the school choice passed in the South, all the white parents bullied Black parents who tried to take their kids into the schools. And then when they desegregated the schools, the parents, the white racist parents, were like, "No, we need school choice. We want to homeschool our kids." So that's why they conspiracy theorists and say, like, oh yeah, he wants to take it back to the good old days where, you know, white people don't want any blacks and darks in their schools, and they're gonna homeschool them and get them out. There's gonna be whites only signs. You guys know how this hyperbole and this stupid dumb rhetoric goes, but it's just fear mongering. But that's what they say, is school choice is racist. You know, that's just going back to the old days when desegregation, when they fought against it. So stupid.
Hey, conservative Mexican, I thought you did a video. Was that you that did a video like a few months ago where there were liberals that were complaining about that the situation, but yet when they were getting vouchers or they were giving away vouchers for inner city schools to go to their schools, they like tripped out, they flipped out. Was that you that did the video?
I think it got to a point to where they actually protested in front of and this was even a charter school. So this isn't even really a private school. They actually protested in front of it, saying that the location of it was a hazard for the children. So they don't want any kind of school choice at all, because I know in California, each K through 12, we're spending $10,000 a student for education, and that's where pretty much the majority of the budget comes from. So they don't want any kind of competition at all, which I think actually would be a good thing. I think that would be a good thing if you had public schools competing with private schools, and if public schools are better, then go that route. I think that's the beauty of having the choice. You get to pick what you get to spend your money on, and the left pretty much just wants to have control over all of that, which is actually, once again, I know I talk about immigration a lot, but being in California, that's where it's a huge thing, because if an illegal comes to California, have kids, boom, they're automatic U.S. citizens, and they're spending all that money on education. So yeah, they will fight that tooth and nail to keep public schools the majority, the one choice for everybody.
Well, immigration is a huge issue, and you're right. I mean, if you guys are just watching for the first time, this is our second symposium, and the first one we did was specifically talking about illegal. I just want to stress that because they try and make you seem like you don't like, diversity, but illegal immigration. And as a teacher, I saw that definitely. It was, and I mean, I speak Spanish though too. So, and I'm saying that as somebody that speaks Spanish and I could converse with the kids, it's still a stress on, the overcrowded classrooms when you have to spend energy trying to get one kid, one group of kids situated in one language and then get the other group of kids situated in another language. And I mean, it's not good for either party. So then imagine if you don't even speak Spanish, and a lot of times you might have a TA or volunteer, but it's terrible. It's like they purposely threw this wrench in the education system and it's just like another layer that keeps people dumbed down because they're not getting high quality education. You're not getting one-on-one support, or they're not getting the individual support that they need, not necessarily one-on-one, but I think you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, because the illegal immigration is what really drives down a lot of the quality, and people, they just have this misunderstanding. They think that they can turn around and throw money at a problem and that money automatically fixes the problem. So even though we might increase our spending on education, it never seems to get fixed, so I think our politicians in particular need to understand that throwing extra money at problems is not going to fix anything. Maybe there should be some type of oversight. Maybe they should set some type of standards, do teacher evaluations maybe on a quarterly basis, because when you're a government worker, a lot of people, because I have some family that work for the government, but a lot of people know that it's pretty difficult to get fired. There's not a whole lot of accountability. So yeah, I think that would be a great solution, provide some type of oversight, make it maybe a third party without any type of political ties, and provide some type of oversight, on top of, give the parents a choice. They shouldn't be bound by a zip code, and that's kind of how it is. Give the parents a choice, and I kind of agree with Uber guy, maybe try the public schools competing with the charter schools, and I think that'll drive up the quality of the education, because we look at our capitalist system, and it's a competition, and it provides an incentive to do better and better because of that capitalist-based system. So I think a combination of those two concepts would really improve the education system.
Getting back to what you said about it's hard to get fired if you're in the government. Did you guys ever check out the last round of the Project Veritas videos that they released?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
No, I
So,
didn't. Yet.
I'll put these when I re-edit them and stuff. I'll put some links to that. But anyway, James O'Keefe got government employees on tape talking about that it was hard to fire them, and they were basically using their resources to forward a democratic socialist agenda. And the poor people, their lives are over, you know. But he got them basically talking about how they use their resources, and all of them pretty much were saying that, oh, well, we're government employees, it's really hard to fire us, so basically we can do whatever we want. Like, that's the attitude a lot of them have. So very interesting.
Not just government employees. The company that I worked for, it works through a union, and that's why the left loves unions. I'm actually, the last couple months or so, I've been working Saturday nights and Friday nights graveyard, because we have a guy who literally calls in sick once or twice a week, and he knows he can't get fired. So unions, you got McDonald's, this whole fight for 15. It's not about workers' rights. They're just political. It's simply as that. They want to get high wages, and they don't even look at the economic aspect of that, to where it's like, yeah, you're guaranteed a wage, doesn't guarantee you hours, and you're making good money, but also the guy who's making money next to you, he's the one doing all the work, because you can't get fired, and they know for a fact that you're going to vote Democrat. So it's not just the government, it's the unions too. Unions are horribly corrupt.
The last thing I want to add to that is I think maybe the nonprofit organizations may contribute a part to this. A lot of people, you know, they understand that nonprofits are required by law in order to put it, whether or not they're conservative or liberal, you know. So it's in regards to the IRS, when they file with the IRS. So I think these nonprofits tie in also with the unions and everything else that we talked about in regards to the degradation of our education.
You're muted.
Truth or talk, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, unmute your microphone.
I'm sorry. Okay. What are your thoughts on the Kavanaugh fiasco? I think I kind of know, but I just want to kind of reiterate. And do you think this empowered more people to vote red or blue?
Most definitely to vote red. You know, everybody saw an innocent man, you know, getting torn to pieces, and everybody literally saw how organized and coordinated that it was between the Democrat Party and the media extension, you know. So it really woke up a lot of people to not only the political biases, but basically how an innocent man was targeted, and people went on a mission to destroy his entire life, you know. And a lot of people need to understand that he's a devout Christian. Yeah, and yeah, he drank beer, but he was a devout Christian. He was like gifted and talented, the best of his class, you know, and everybody got to see the best of the best get targeted, you know, and set up. And the last thing I'll say about it is, you know, speaking with the Black community, and some people may disagree, but you know, I've seen this happen with Black men, you know, to where, you know, Black men, they'll be doing their thing, and, you know, people will just start hating and slandering and talk stuff about Black men, and it makes things very difficult, you know, because it's unbelievable, you know. But I basically think they took that concept of the, you know, the culture and how society is set up in regards to Black men, and they tried to apply that same type of concept onto Brett Kavanaugh, you know. So they were constantly playing two extremes. Oh, he's too nice. Oh, he's too mean. You know, oh, he's a gang rapist, you know, or oh, okay, well, maybe he's not a gang rapist, but believe her anyways.
Oh,
you know?
Oh, he threw ice at people.
Yeah, you know, so it was
mad. I was like, are you serious?
Right. So they're literally going from one extreme to another extreme, like fire and ice, you know, and everybody got to witness that, you know, throughout these last couple of weeks. So it was completely wrong, but I think it gave the energy that we need to have people turn out to vote.
Beers for
Yeah, I
Brett.
mean,
Beers for Brett.
it's crazy. You know, like I can't believe what we just witnessed, because that just put it on display, like how unhinged and insane the left has become. That viral video of Maxine Waters a couple months ago where she's like, get out and create a crowd. She just looked so like sadistic and just evil. And the mob really responded to that, because this affected Brett Kavanaugh, this affected his family, but there's just so much fallout. The violence that ensued, you know, the doxing of senators and their kids, like medical records and stuff. And everyone knows that was just a big partisan hit job. And it's all rooted in Trump derangement syndrome. It's been 2 years and they're resisting everything. It doesn't matter that it was Brett Kavanaugh and he's like a devout Christian, because there's no way to appease the left. The mob always wants what it wants and it's never pleased. Like, he could have appointed a black transgendered female feminist that's legal and Islamic, and then resist. That's the model. That's the party of resistance. So it doesn't matter. It's because it's Trump. They will seek and destroy anything in his path.
Anybody else?
Well, that's where I completely disagree, because looking at a lot of these news reports, you know, that's you know, he straight up called him evil. You know, I mean, he kind of, if you look into the rhetoric that Brett Kavanaugh used, you know, he kind of pointed out the ill intentions of the Democrats. So I believe that if it had been a transgender woman with one leg and she was a liberal, I believe that the Democrats would have taken her with open arms, just for the fact of knowing, okay, this is a liberal, because it's basically it's like an unsaid fact that basically if you're Christian, you're automatically conservative. You know, the principles line up. But you know, I that's just my personal opinion, you know, and I think there's a spiritual aspect to this, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I'm obviously joking about that, all that stuff. I totally think they would be more open to that, but we all know Trump wouldn't appoint someone like that. He wanted a constitutional conservative. That was more just a, you know, joke.
Anybody else want to add more to the Kavanaugh situation? I know we all made videos on it, so we all have like.
I'm not going to be redundant, but my only thing is, after all of that's being said and done, how come no one is being, you know, persecuted for perjury or for lying under oath? I mean, that's the thing, is Christine Ford now doesn't even want to have anything to do with it. She won't impeach him. She won't support incriminating him in any regard. She's just taking that GoFundMe and running with it. I mean, that's one of the crazy things, is that it's essentially become not just something that's very political, but it's become a business for a lot of people. You know, like, this is not something that's very unique. And although I won't reference people like Lewinsky, you know, you get famous from this kind of a thing. It's all a political sham. The timing of it is just very as expected. But that's the thing, is like, somebody clearly here went wrong, and somebody clearly here should be held accountable for their actions, because clearly 2 families got destroyed and many others as a result. But no, I mean, like, I haven't seen anything from that. I doubt I'll see anything from that. But I don't know. What's everybody's thoughts on that? That's my big thing, is like, okay, he's confirmed. So what? Now Democrats just go run and hide? You're not going to pay the consequence for your actions?
Yeah, I thought about that too. I definitely have been thinking about like how she
they're already looking into it.
Yeah, they are? Okay, good.
Yeah, they're basically, they have FBI investigations going on into, I believe, Dianne Feinstein, and of course that's the leader of the Democrat Party, so it's going to bleed out. There's another thing I think Devin Nunes talked about, but they're talking about declassifying the McCabe memos. So I'm not sure, but I believe.
Unredacted. please?
Yeah. I believe that that's actually going to tie into the Democrat Party. So I'm not sure, but I have a theory. I think they're just kind of holding on to it and they're waiting for it to get a little bit closer to the elections because everybody knows that people are more motivated when they're angry, so they're going to get off their butts and go vote. But I think it's just a matter of time. Everything's already being set up, and all the information is going to come out before the midterm elections.
I think
Anybody
this
else?
situation is going to be probably the best thing for the Republicans because you took an innocent man and you tried destroying his life. I did a video, I think it was yesterday. A former ACLU head said that the ACLU has become the mob. Like, we're supposed to defend people against the mob. Now we're the mob. And what the Democrats keep doing is Trump derangement syndrome. Anything or anybody that's associated with Trump, they're the devil. They're Hitler. And the more attention that you put on that 24/7, eventually someone's going to go, that doesn't make any sense. And then they're going to look at that, and they're going to look at another thing that people attack Trump on, or Republicans. That doesn't make sense. Oh my God, now I'm more conservative than I am liberal. Oh my God, Trump's actually not that bad. You're seeing it go on over and over again.
Dude, oh my God! Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I don't want to rant right now.
No,
Start
it.
No. Let me mute.
I don't want to rant, but y'all want me to rant because I swear. Oh man, what the hell is wrong with the freaking liberal left loonies? What the hell is wrong with them? Why they don't feel good about themselves? Why you could tell them people like them have been bullied growing up, so they use their little power and little political science to try to bully us. So who the hell is they? I'm telling y'all, I'm not making this up. I see it. I don't care. My job can come to my YouTube right now. My job is trying to fire me right now, and I will come right back after them. I will. They hate me because of my political views, but I see more hate in the last 2 months than I've seen in my 46 years of my life. Like, we got to come against that hate. The thing is, we will come against that hate. As long as we have love, we will come against that hate because we are winning. That's why they're mad. They're mad because we are winning. And let's keep on winning. Look, do they know? Not saying it's going to be a blue wave. If it was a blue wave, we still win. We still win. The one world government is eventually going to happen. The new world order is eventually going to happen. God sent Trump here to slow it down. I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're bigots. They're bigots. Simply put, the left, the liberal mob, the hate mob, they're bigoted. Plain and simple. And yeah, anyone that's in their path that is even friendly with Trump, anyone that refuses to say anything bad about Trump gets raked over the coals. Look how they treated Kanye West. All Kanye West did was put on the Trump hat.
That pisses me off.
Why don't we try loving him? Why don't we try love? You can't respond with hate and expect to get a different outcome. You respond with love. And look how they treated him. Look how they treated Tiger Woods just because Tiger Woods said, I respect the office of the president. I don't care who's in there. That's pretty much what Kanye said. They did it to Jimmy Fallon. They're like, you're not attacking Trump enough. You touched his hair a few years ago. You made him into a human. You treated him like a person. We need you to participate in this tirade, this ongoing hatred of Trump. And that's another thing people are seeing too. They're like, yeah, Trump's actually doing some good stuff too. Yeah, he shoots from the hip and he says a lot of crazy things, but there's no reason for you to flip out over him every single day. Life kind of goes on. Your life doesn't have changed because he's president.
Who don't say crazy things? Don't we all say crazy things? I mean, we all say crazy things. I love Trump because he say crazy things. I mean, come on now. We got to say some crazy things to shake this country up.
All right. So blue wave, red wave. I mean, obvious, but what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to, I'm just saying this first. What do you think is going to happen if the Democrats win, if it's a blue wave? I'm just being hypothetical. I'm trying to be fair. The reason, let me take my the reason I'm also just trying to not focus on that scenario, just put that scenario out there, is just a kind of an act of being humble, because I noticed how the left acted before Trump won, right? There was lots of video compilation of them laughing and saying that he wasn't going to win and that they were going to win and that Hillary was ahead. And, you know, their hubris just made them look like complete idiots. So I just want to, what are you guys going to be mad, sad? Are you going to go out and riot? Do you think there are going to be riots if the blue wave happens?
No.
With the blue,
I mean, there'll be some red waves. There'll be some.
we
blue
don't
waves.
do that.
Just
No.
depends on what state you're in.
Makes us no better than them.
Well, I'm
No.
not saying you're going to personally go out and riot. I'm picturing Zach out there rioting.
I'm gonna go out there in Kevlar, but yeah.
I've already picked out the cars I'm gonna burn up, and you know, I already have my
Yeah.
riot gear.
I got
have
my
riot
spray paint and
uniform.
my mace ready.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my chant ready. I already know what I'm gonna. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
Oh my
Democrats
god, I
have got
saw that
to-
video. I could not believe that was
Yes.
a real thing. That poor old guy. I mean, I don't feel bad that I just feel bad that he just had to stand there by himself. Like, it's just crazy.
What happens?
You didn't see that video? There's like this old guy holding up like Trump signs, and there's these two sort of younger looking individuals who thought it'd be a good idea to dance around him and chant. It's just, it's at this point, it's so silly. I can't take any of these protesters seriously. Like, I mean, you ask a lot of these people why it is they protest what they protest. A lot of them can't give you a straight answer, and I can speak from firsthand experience. You ask people why they don't like certain things, I just don't bother with it because there's no sense in it anymore. People are clearly delusional or don't know why it is they're there. They're just there because, well, you know, support all women.
Well,
Yeah,
their
that kind
anger
of
and their
thing.
insecurities and their trauma is being weaponized against them. That's how I see it. And a lot of them are angry about their own self.
I mean, it's
you know?
that, and it's the virtue signaling. It's the virtue signaling to the highest degree. A lot of these people, at least from my experience, you talk to some of these protesters, it's like a white, like, male feminist or like a white hip. I'm speaking from my area, and it's like I see it more with those people than anybody else. That's usually where it's just a little bit where I don't really understand why you're so angry. It's like, what did they do to you personally, to you? And that's usually where it angers me the most. I'm not really saying that everybody out there doesn't have a right to assemble or protest, but it's like a lot of these folks don't even have a really good reason. And you're like the whitest of the white bunch, and you virtue signal all day and every night. And that's where it's a little bit disingenuous, in my opinion. So,
You know what I think it is? I think it's like how I feel like a lot of Black liberals, I feel like they somewhat kind of think that feel bad about themselves in a way. Like that's why they always holler oppression, oppression. And I start to think that the white liberals, they kind of feel bad about, like, they've been made to feel bad about like slavery, and they've like taken it upon themselves. And I saw on this channel, Red Elephants. Remember that article that came out? It was a guy talking about would he let his kid be friends with white kids? He was Black, I guess. And
yeah, I do remember that.
yeah, and they're asking people, like, is this okay? Like, so this guy went on the street and he asked white people. The white liberals, they all said, no, yeah, it's okay. And then he asked Black people, and they were like, no, that's not okay. Why would you do that? And so he said it was kind of funny because it's like the white people, like, none of them, like, for some reason, none of them could admit that it was wrong. Like, they were just like, well, okay, well, they're Black, I understand, And it's just like the same mentality that's put on Black people. It's put on white liberals too, and they have the same problem. It's just that they have this guilt for some reason that they've taken on.
The funny thing is, if you don't mind me expanding on this a little bit, a lot of the times is that the white oppression thing is a very real thing that people will always use. And I'm talking about white people here specifically when they talk about their own privilege, acknowledging that. A big thing that's really, really relevant, slavery aside, we won't go into that, is like just the topic of like Nazism, People will throw around Nazi big buzzwords as in like, and be very, very ashamed. Like I talked to some people who are here and they're like, oh, I'm ashamed to be German. I'm ashamed to be this. Sometimes you have to remind people, not just with culture, but with history, like not every German person was a Nazi. And that being said, Nazis invaded Germany first before they, you know, went and invaded Poland and Austria and France and all of that. And that's the problem with identity politics, is some people can't see the difference in that you might have been of German descent, but you're not a Nazi, and you don't have to apologize on behalf of your people or whatever as a result. It's just a really, really interesting aspect of like who bears personal responsibility throughout history. But it's so much of what is being indoctrinated in schools that it's like I don't blame a lot of these white liberals running around feeling responsible for stealing culture off of people when, you know, like that's been done throughout history for hundreds of years. I mean, if we want to talk Nazis for a second, the Japanese people did exactly what the Nazis did at the same time. But they did it to Indo-Chinese Muslims, Russians, Chinese, Koreans, Singapore. Like that's the thing, is like we're taught Pearl Harbor and everything, but we're only taught Pearl Harbor up to the point where America got attacked. What you're not taught is the fact that the Japanese people were the equivalent of the Nazis in the East because of a lot of, in the name of Japanese expansion and Japanese imperialism. But no one talks about that, you know? Asians aren't the oppressing type, but Japanese people oppressed people.
Oh, totally. No, and you know, that's why, you know, different Asian countries, they have so much animosity toward each other because of war. And a lot of the Taiwanese, the older Taiwanese generations, they hate Japanese people.
Of course.
Them.
Japanese people
because they were occupied by
oppressors. And the thing is, I don't have a problem with Japanese people, but here's the thing. You're not taught that Hirohito was a dictator, but he was. And like we talk about Stalin and Hitler and Mao all the time. Hirohito is another one. And like no one ever talks about that. No one ever talks about the fact that the Japanese enslaved, raped, pillaged Chinese people, Koreans, Russians even. I mean, all in the name of expansion, because they were an empire up until 60 years ago. Literally.
They don't, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but they don't talk about the Moors and how the Moors, you know, occupied what was Spain for like 700 years. But see, it's dangerous because it's to divide, or not to divide, but to conquer and to take land. It's an issue of the human condition. And I think it's easier to kind of control people if you have just a narrative that it's this one, if it's this one race of people.
Or one race of people solely responsible for oppression.
Then you can put all that anger and that responsibility onto them. And then you can program people with the mentality, well, if you just get rid of this one, you know, race of people, then we'll have peace and harmony. We'll have our utopia.
But like right there,
true.
That is the definition of like a nationalist state. And as a matter of fact, that's how enemies are created within the state, is the cater to the inherent bias. Right now, what the Democrats do to people is they make white people very, very self-hating. That's how you essentially start the process of making people feel inadequate over time, convincing people even within your own sect, your own neighbors, that you are being victimized and you're a problem. I mean, that's
media.
This is all proven in history. This is what Stalin did in Russia. You know what he did? He took away everything from the people and then he fed them. You know what I mean? He got a whole group of people to think a certain way, act a certain way, behave a certain way because of politics, because of what he was pushing forward. And at the end of the day, he fed all of his citizens because he kind of kept them. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's like that's what the Democrats do to people. It's like you don't really do anything, and you give everybody just the bare minimum so you can retain your vote. Now, granted, America is not. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, America's not a socialist state the same way Russia would have been, or Russia had been in the past. But you can see so many closely knitted parallels with people, and unfortunately, because of universities and all that, you're not taught that. You're absolutely not taught a lot of those aspects of socialism. You may have studied Karl Marx and all that kind of stuff from a Western standpoint, but like, you don't have to study something, or you can look at examples in history to see how something has been fundamentally flawed. I mean, every giant country has failed in that regard. Sweden, that's different, but Sweden has the population of Memphis. So it's not the same thing. You can't draw the same comparison with Sweden as you can with a country this size. It just doesn't work.
Well, with their immigration issues now and their policies, it's starting to fail because, you know, now they're going down because of that.
Sweden having issues, but
they're mostly what do you call it when it's like one race of people before the immigration?
Homogenous.
Homogenous.
Yeah.
But it's also
Can I say one thing?
No.
Go ahead. What's up?
You're so polite, Prometheus. I have to mess with you.
Nah, it's cool. Okay, so I'm glad that you brought up Japan, because a lot of people don't know about that, and we talked about Hitler. But see, a lot of people don't know that that there were radical Islamic terrorists back then that aided Hitler in exterminating the Jews, and you could just look it up. But I think it was called Husseini or Husseini, the Husseini Brigade or whatever. But so the whole problem that we have right now with radical Islamic terrorism goes way back, and since people don't know the different aspects of what happened back then, they like you said, they narrow it down to one race. This is why we're having problems repeat.
Yeah, and that's the true thing is, think about most of the liberal problems in America, right? At the end of the day, what liberals will always say is, at the end of the day, it all just comes down to white people. It comes down to white people being the reason for all the problems because of colonialism, because of white supremacy, because of all that kind of stuff. When we talk about history and we talk about countries that have conquered each other over time, Mongolians, the Japanese, the Chinese, like, it's the same deal. And you see the same intolerance even in other countries. I mean, the reason why I'm glad you know about Japan, the reason why I bring up Japan and I don't talk about it much is because Japan is very, very contemporary. It's as early as 60 years ago. Hirohito's son is still the emperor of Japan. Like, that's very, very fresh. Japanese expansion, Japanese imperialism is very real. Oppression and intolerance of other races. So a lot of liberals will always come to the table and say, well, white people are the only people who colonize, many, many different territories throughout history and oppressed people. And I'm thinking Japan was doing that 50 years ago. That's why, that Japanese imperial sign, the rising sun or whatever, a lot of people equate that to the SS, to the Nazi symbol. It essentially represented the same thing. If you weren't Japanese, we're just going to take your land. So they invaded all of Southeast Asia. They invaded China, Manchuria at the time, parts of Russia. And if Japan wasn't stopped, I will say this on the air, if Japan wasn't stopped, they essentially would have emerged as the equivalent of what the Nazis were trying to do with the Third Reich out in Europe. Japan was doing that in the East, all in the name of expansion and imperialism. But we're not taught that. We're not taught that Japanese people oppress people, because it's like, well, Asians aren't.
Well, we're not taught that African tribes beat up other.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because when you start to
Native American tribes, the responsibility amongst a lot of other people, all of a sudden it weakens one race of people. Then not just one race of people is solely responsible for all the oppression in the world. You find that has happened over hundreds of years before the contemporary times throughout history. It's just been the nature of man and the nature of and that's the same thing with cultural appropriation too, because it's just like with America being a giant melting pot and all of that, how can you adequately sort of atone for all the things that you've taken from culture when you don't really know where it's coming from and where it really is? And to suggest all of that being given back to its rightful owners is a little bit ridiculous when we know about the natural ebb and flow of culture. And I say that because that's the hypocrisy of liberalism. It's like, on the one hand, we talked about this already, you are all proponents of respecting culture and not taking it away, yet you'll continue to have hip-hop music and take a seat at a university and not support your own affirmative action plan as you are advocating for as a privileged whatever white person. That's the interesting thing. And unfortunately, it's not talked about enough. And the thing is, all it takes is for a few people to talk about it, and then they'll realize, oh, okay, I'm starting.
But that's why we're being censored, right? Because a lot of other people on other channels are talking about this stuff, and they want to keep that narrative, so it's easy to brainwash people. And you know what I've noticed? I've thought about, I might make a video going into some more depth about it. There's a Holocaust movie every year. How many times are we gonna have to watch Holocaust movies? There's a slavery movie every other year, and then in between that, slavery movies, there's a movie about Jim Crow, the segregation, to kind of keep us in that static ground.
Huh? Right. No, they don't know about anything else. My sisters, they're homeschooled, and they are teaching me stuff. They're much younger than me, but since they were homeschooled, they learned about the Bolshevik War. They knew so much that I was not taught in school. And I had
Absolutely.
that tried to tell me, she's like, you should put your kid, like when I was like around the time I was about to start doing homeschool, she was like, you should do public school. And I was like, are you kidding me? Over my dead body? Are you serious? No, they don't teach them anything. It's not. That's why people think that Holocaust is like the only thing they can think of, in Hitler, as if that's the only wars that ever occur, and slavery.
Ooh,
Like
It's not
Messed
just
up.
in our. It's not. But my point too is not. It's not just in our school system. Combined with our school system, it's in our movie culture.
Yeah, the
and I'm
movie.
not saying flipping other Holocaust movie. No more. No more slavery movies. No, I'm not supporting that anymore. There's plenty. You know, I've heard it 6 million times. 6 million Jews. 6 million movies. 6 million. It's been just. It's so frustrating that, you know, it seems like they're just trying to ram it into our heads, just this whole narrative. And that also kind of goes into the whole, like what Zach was saying about like the school system and stuff. It all like kind of fits in like a puzzle to create this mentality, you know, about white man and Hitler. And, you know, you would think that Jews and blacks are the only people that suffered oppression.
Genocide is alive and real. 6 million Chinese died under the Japanese, 2 million Manchurians, 2 million Koreans, and countless Indo-Chinese Muslims and Jews. The Japanese murdered Jews too, but we don't talk about that.
I want to go ahead and bring up something real quick. Our Vice President, Mike Pence, put out an official statement a couple of days ago, but basically China has highly compromised our nation. So the way that he put it is that our federal, our state, and local government employees are compromised. Our movie culture is compromised. Our school system is compromised. And all of these things are actually being influenced by the Chinese communist regime. On top of, I think we're getting $300 million worth of intellectual property stolen from us per year. So I thought I'd bring that up since you said Asians. You know, right now we're kind of like in a cold war with China. You know what I'm saying? And
I agree. Yeah.
The vice president, I'm glad that he had the balls to actually put it out there, because I know, like, with foreign affairs, they're very diplomatic, you know, and there's certain things they won't talk about. But he just put it straight out there and said, look, China is messing us up real bad right now. So a lot of these things that y'all are talking about, oh, I'm tired of the movie, or oh, this education, there's a lot of Chinese influence. A lot of this, the government, the left, and the Democrats, there's a lot of Chinese influence, you know. So keep that in mind.
And I'm a xenophile. That means I love Chinese culture and language and stuff. So it's not against the people per se, but it's the government. We are in a Cold War.
Yeah,
he's a dictatorship.
Yeah, right. And it's very true what Promethius just said. So.
And that's something that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was wondering, are you talking also about, because I don't know much about this. I just saw a video recently about Google like trying to do something with China to control the media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but I'm talking about much more than that.
They own a lot of our movie studios. They own a lot of our lands. They own the port of Long Beach. Okay. They own a lot of Chinese people are allowed to come and buy land. We're not able to do that in China.
A lot of ports.
You know, but I think that there's basically Chinese money, you know, so to speak, circulating within our infrastructure, you know, and that's what's leading to a lot of these individuals being compromised, and, you know, the gradual degradation of our society. So, yeah, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, Google is trying to work with China. Yes, they're trying to connect our phone numbers into their search logs. And, you know, you can find people's information with a phone number. But tie all of that into Mike Pence's official statement he gave yesterday. You know, it's serious.
Apple also gave all the Chinese our like keys. The computer, Apple. Right. That's on record.
Definitely. I'm truly, honestly not surprised. You know, there is a lot of foreign influence. There is.
Yeah, and I think that basically the media during these last 2 years, they were actually using Russia as a deflection for what's been going on with China all this time. You know, and it's kind of like kind of like how Mike Nificent said, you know, it's the lesser of two evils. So I think the media intentionally, you know, wanted to put all the blame on Russia while ignoring the fact that China is a world power, you know, that's having a much more devastating effect against us.
Anybody else want to add to the China thing? Because the next question is going to be, I want to do two more so we can start wrapping it up. Let's see. It was, do you think the tech companies are going to try and swing the election?
Of course. Of course. You know, they have a pay for play scheme. If you really think about it, remember when they say, oh, you can promote your post, or you could promote your tweet. That's the same type of concept. That's pay for play, you know, and it makes things unfair because people, let's say, you know, who aren't paying anything, they're automatically being put on the back burner. Now, if you add that with all these algorithms, you know, that are being created by liberals, so they're probably liberal-based algorithms, you know, on top of the shadow banning, you know, which I've personally experienced, people let me know, you know, yeah, they are definitely working against our collective interests.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll go a step further. I don't even think it's liberal. I think it's leftist, because liberals, I think, you know, the classical liberals still stand for free speech. And you see YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, what did they do? They purged Alex Jones. They put him in the digital gulag for his free speech. And the way that Google's been curating information, Conservative Mexican actually had a video about this about a month ago. When you Google illegal alien crime report, the first thing that pops up via Google is the myth of the criminal immigrant. But you type that same thing, that same exact thing verbatim into DuckDuckGo, you get what you're looking for. So therefore, Google is curating information. So make sure that people who want to research the truth, people are like, wait a minute, something isn't right. I'm going to go look this up for myself. The first thing they think of is Google. They don't think of DuckDuckGo. They don't think of Bing. They don't think of Yahoo search. They think of Google. And so when they see it, they're like, wow, New York Times is saying this, and all these other NPR, they're saying the same thing. They're going to fall right back into the matrix, but they don't realize it's the same bullet ricocheting off different walls. And, you know, with YouTube, a lot of people were going to YouTube for the 2016 election. That's what helped sway it, you know, getting all these conspiracy theory channels, but in reality, they're just truth tellers. And now they flipped it on its head, where if you type in something you want to see, it's like, ooh, let me look up Iran nuclear deal. Let me look up Hillary Clinton's uranium deal. The first thing you're going to get is like CNN videos and MSNBC videos. You have to scroll down like 4 pages to even find Mark Dice and get his take on it. You have to like really, really search for stuff now. So the way I see it, they've already set it up to where people can't really dig for the right information. They can't find it. So I think that they've already done enough censoring. I mean, the elections are coming up in a month, so there's how much more can they really do, especially now that they took Alex Jones off the internet. But absolutely, they've done so much just since 2016 to kind of dig their heels in on this information awakening.
Can they actually go in and like cancel people's votes? I mean, I should have added to this earlier, but one of the things that I would like to see changed is going back to paper ballots and not relying on digital. And honestly, if you think about it, that would make everyone happy, because, you know, all this talk about Russia being able to interfere with the elections would go away. If it was paper, then that wouldn't be, it would be an issue, you know? So making everything electronic. I think somebody was telling me now that you can vote on your phone. They have voting apps and stuff. It's just going to make it easier for them to go in and, you know, switch numbers around.
And it makes it easier for illegals to vote too. Yeah.
And I was going to say, so if I think, well, maybe there's somebody else that's more tech savvy, because I think Uber guy's pretty tech savvy, but he had to bounce. I guess he wasn't feeling well. But if there were more people that showed up and won, I mean, if showed up and voted than they had anticipated for, is that still a way to like to outwit them and to beat their system? Because for somebody was telling me, from what I understand, maybe I'm wrong, that they can set up a certain amount of fake through the technology but still, if you still kind of, if they underestimate it and there's still people that physically go and vote, then it's still hard for them to like I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Like it's so hard for them. I'm not sure how that works. So I'm completely ignorant when it comes to that. Does anybody have any insight on that?
Technology is trying to ruin us. I hate technology. I hate science. I'm about common sense. Technology is trying to ruin us. Technology is destroying this country, and that's what I'm saying. Because what we are doing in this movement, it's not technology. It's not even technology we're doing. It's common sense. If you look at with Alex Jones, that wasn't technology right there. With anybody that's against censor, people that get censored, it's not technology. They want to use technology to destroy us. They want to use technology to just get rid of us, to take us off. They probably want to just kill us. That's how I freaking feel. You know, I don't want to rant long because I'm in a mood in my life right now. I actually don't want to rant the next couple of days. I just want to say stuff for like 5 or 10 seconds because it's just like it's freaking irritating me. But you know what? We're gonna fight. No matter what, we're gonna all fight. Technology is trying to destroy us. Technology is promote more globalism, and you know it's so scary. These college kids, these liberal kids, got all this technology. It's so much technology with the liberal kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say a liberal kid. It's so much technology, and technology is dumb as hell. I'm just saying, technology is dumb as hell. Take it away. I'm done.
But don't you see the interesting sort of points connect with technology and young people? It's dumb. It makes us dumber. It's controlled by the biggest corporations. Therefore, they censor and they feed us information on a daily basis, thus making sure that we are ensured to be connected, yet we feel more isolated than any other generation in history. And on top of that, repeated exposure to a lot of this BS that's already been catered to you. So I agree with you there. I mean, I think that technology is a very, very useful tool to get information out there. But discernment of technology and deducing information is what is lacking with my generation. Because it's kind of like...
And we need you. That's why we need you, brother. We need you, brother.
I appreciate it. No, but it's true. Because you are... There's one... Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think most young people would agree that it's a false reality that's being pushed forward. However, that is not being explicit. That's not clear with information. And people think that they know what it is that they're learning because think about who controls all your news sources, right? Think about like the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, right? You got Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. And obviously there are catered ads or sponsored ads. On Twitter, I saw a Kamala Harris petition. Like it's just like you see catered information that's going to you all the time. So it's not just the insecurity of watching the world go by. It's also the being desensitized to information that you don't really know as to being true or not, because you're not really taught investigative and deducing information, right? Because it's just so saturated. On top of that, getting information out there is really, really great. I just think that we're in a position right now where it's oversaturated. Like people are checked out on information because there's too much information. Often you go up to a young person, you ask them their thoughts on it. I don't think that most people are blatantly like just incapable of talking about their thoughts. I just think you're so swept away by information and social media and people's better lives than you that it essentially is destroying you. You know, you lose a sense of individuality with it. But I think that that's exactly what they want, which is why you keep coming back, because it keeps reinforcing your behavior. You keep going back and looking at it. So, but being aware of that is usually the first step. And I think I know a lot of the young people that kind of are aware of that. And they know that what's on Instagram and Twitter is just kind of being fed to you by the masses. So, you know.
Okay,
well, I don't think it's a lost cause.
I agree, but one thing that I noticed that happened a long time ago, like maybe, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, but they came out with this new technology called, personalization. So during that time period, people were getting their, if they go to like YouTube or if they go to social media, it was being personalized to cater to, what they like. So when you're pushing this whole personalization backed by all these echo chambers, you're widening that gap in between people. You see what I'm saying? And people are going to be less likely to talk and to listen to each other because everybody is just completely used to their own world. Their online experience has been personalized for them. So that came out many years ago, and building on top of that, I noticed certain things. You know, that's when with the social media, people they gave into the simulation, and people stopped, you know, kicking it with each other as much. On top of that,
Children
you
don't
know,
even
like
go out and play anymore,
right.
right?
Well, some yeah.
Ride
Well,
bikes and
over
all
here,
that stuff.
exactly. You know, and the thing is, it's like they take our body, like our own biology, and it's kind of like they use it against us. You know, so that's why social media has been pointed out to you know, be addictive or get people depressed. You know, because I guess everybody, you know, with the personalization and then with the social media kind of replacing, you know, like real life friendships and relationships for an instant message and for some likes, you know, that maybe drove down people's self-esteem to, you know, where they're more readily to accept all this information, you know. So it's all interconnected, man. But I think it started back with personalization, and it got worse from there.
I think it was one of the Facebook CEOs. His name is, he's an Indian guy named Charmath Palihapitiya, came out and said that he regrets being associated with Facebook because he believes that they've ruined the fabric of society. He won't even let his children. He doesn't let his children use social media. There was another guy too with Facebook who pretty much said the same thing. You know, so yeah, it definitely is done by design. I want to get to the last question. Anybody else want to add to what you were talking about? Nobody?
What was
Nobody?
it? Sorry, I don't even.
Oh,
I'm listening to everything.
we were kind of talking about technology and how it's affecting us. Are the tech firms going to intervene? How can that be stopped? And then we just kind of went on a tangent talking about, like, which is fine, which is great. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Talk about technology and how it's it has its good points, but it could be used for bad, and how it's also, we're also kind of like devolving through technology. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's also, you know, studies out. I've heard of the studies. I read the headlines. I technically haven't read the full studies, but I can see it happening. They know that it physically affects us, right? The radiation from the computers, you know, how it messes our eyes up.
Yeah. Well, that.
I use, if I'm on the computer for a long period of time, I try and use salt lamps. And I'm really making strides not to be on the computer so much, because it does take a physical toll on your well-being.
No,
Sorry,
totally. I won't even jump into this, but I mean, aside from information and social media, forget about that. Let's also not forget that like 20% or some stuff is also attributed to things like internet pornography. Now, again, if you're, I'm just gonna put it out there.
That's what I'm into. I'm kidding.
That's a, you know, it's incredibly, like, it's, I think it's destroyed like my generation. Like internet porn has just like made us all bad at interpersonal skills. I'm convinced at this point. Like, I'm not speaking for everybody here, but it's just like, yep, like the fact that, like, what is it, 30% of internet sources are for internet porn? Like, again, if you work in the porn industry, that's your own thing. I don't really give a shit. But like, it has had a profound impact on people also even interacting with each other. So forget information and forget like how you feel about yourself. That already has, I guess, satisfied the most biological urge for people. So they don't even want to go out and talk to each other. That's the crazy thing too. It's just like you already feel like shit, and then now you're more insecure about going out and talking to people. So you compound that as well as part of technology, and we're all kind of screwed.
Have you seen that Black Pigeon Speaks video where he does a really good job of breaking it down and how it physically affects how porn like affects your mind and your body? Have you seen that, Zach?
Yeah, it's I know what
Black Pigeon Speaks video.
But I've read all kinds of stuff of like we don't have to get into it, but like you're bringing on porn and everything, and it's just like biologically we're just not used to that. We're not used to that kind of a thing. It effectively has like made us really, really impotent. It's that, but like sometimes we don't realize that like it actually is so impactful in our day-to-day decisions and everything. And when you just don't want to engage in people because of it, like think about that for a second. Think about the basis of biology. reproduction being like, I don't know, arguably a human being's most important trait is the continuation of your kind, and you just don't want to do that anymore. You just don't want to go out and meet people. You don't want to get laid anymore because of that. It's a real thing. Like, I'm not going to downplay it. Like, it,
oh yeah, you
so
shouldn't.
many people my age just like don't want to talk to people, and I think porn has a big like men and women. Like, porn has a big bearing on that, and a lot of people won't admit to it, but it does. It really like. So.
You know what? No, that's great. I'm glad you brought it up. You're very, very, very right about that. And another thing I wanted to bring up though too is attention spans, right? Like people want their information like bam, bam. A lot of people don't have the patience to sit down and read and actually gain a very profound knowledge of any subject because they want, you know, this instant gratification and instant satisfaction that they get with today's modern technology. We should just do another symposium talking just about technology. Actually, we could do that.
Yeah, let's move on though. You ask the next question. Oh, you're on mute, Christine.
Damn it. Okay, last question, you guys. What are you gonna do? I want to say win, but like I said, I don't want to jinx it. I'm afraid to jinx it. Okay. So
say it.
What are you gonna do when we win, or if we win? When we win, if we win.
Win.
I'm gonna moon the whole country. I'm gonna moon everybody. I'm gonna put my pants down and moon everybody and say, yeah, we won. I don't care. I'm gonna get petty. That's what
I mean. It could be, you know, somebody said earlier there can be blue and red waves. I see that, but I think it's really going to be one or the other. And I'm praying that it's a total wet red wave. And for some of you guys that don't pray, that's fine. But I definitely believe in the power of intention. So what do you want to see happen? Thinking, you know, instead of thinking about us losing and it being a blue wave, what do you want to see? Like, how is it going to look? Start thinking about that and try and stay in that state of mind so we can manifest this too. I mean, physically go out and vote, but I'm like, vote and pray, vote and pray. That's my motto for this 2018.
I'm right there.
Election.
I'm right there.
I'm going to go first because I got to get going.
Okay. All right.
What I hope happens if we win, and I think we will, is what I believe should have happened when Trump won. People who are liberal, Democrat realize, okay, something happened and people supported a position or a person, not because they're bad people, but because they know something that I don't know. And I firmly believe that I know something that they don't know. And what we're doing right now, all of us, this is what needed to happen. Trump needed to be president so we could finally have what I consider is this civil war amongst our nation, to where we have to talk once again. We have to be humble to understand that I could be wrong. And what you're seeing with Kavanaugh, with Trump, with anything that's associated with the Republican, it's anarchy and it's pure lunacy. And I firmly believe that when we win, that's what I want to see, is just us having conversations again, us getting back to like what you guys are talking about with social media. The fact that we're so drawn into our phones and tablets, we're lacking something. We're slowly dying and decaying as a society. We don't have hope anymore. We're not religious anymore. We don't appreciate family. We don't want to get married anymore. We just want to have sex and do drugs and idolize somebody who's probably more imperfect than we are. Like, we have to actually really look inside our souls and figure out what we want for the future, because that's all we're doing. We're just recording what's going on. That's it. And with that, it was a pleasure, guys. I got to get going.
See you, conservative Mexican.
Let's do another one. I really enjoyed this.
Really great.
See you, SA. Much love, SA.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Have a good one.
Mo, you're started.
I'm gonna go next because it's 11:30 where I live. Yeah, I would say, like, you know, as tempting as it is, because you're right. I'm right there with you that I believe in the power of belief, in the power of intentions, and, you know, what you think about, you bring about, law of attraction. And I firmly believe that there is going to be red wave, red tsunami, no matter what it is. I think at the very least, like the worst case scenario, the Republicans don't give too much ground. I mean, we have to be real and realize, like, the Democrats are going to gain some seats in the House. but the Republicans can also gain some seats in the House. You know, as long as they hold the Senate and gain a few seats in the House, I think they'll be fine. But I don't see some big blue wave coming and then it's just going to be full of Democrats. That's not going to happen, especially after this Kavanaugh thing. Earlier in the year, like with that problem thing on the border, with the children getting separated, it was looking a little muddy. The waters were a little muddy for Republicans. But now, with 1 month to go, with how the Democrats acted with this Kavanaugh thing, I think that red pilled a shit ton of people in the country. They're like, wow, this is crazy. This is crazy where we are as a country. And so I think we're going to see that. So as tempting as it is to rub it in everyone's face and be like, we have to keep working because we got to get Trump reelected. We are not out of the woods yet just because we stopped a blue wave in midterms. Even though history's not on our side, we have to keep moving. We have to keep working. We have to keep getting information out. We have to push for not an internet bill of rights because we don't want government involved in that, but we have to get the discourse back. We have to get our voices heard because if we don't, and the Democrats do somehow regain power, because they do still control the pillars of influence, that's mainstream media, that's academia, and, you know, Hollywood, entertainment. Those are pillars of influence that, you know, finesse the next generation. So we have to continue speaking out and promoting each other's channels. So I feel like the work is not really done, but I think long range, what I want to see happen is people recognizing, going outside of themselves and realizing we are multi-dimensional beings having a human experience. We are not, we're in shells in this low density, low energy, negative matrix. That's what it is, the matrix. And people can kind of zoom out and see that. They'll start living their best lives. They'll stop tripping over identity politics and worried about their skin color, because you can't take your skin color with you when you die. Everyone's going to pay taxes. Every single person. I don't care if you're a rich white racist. You could be Richard Spencer. Guess what? If you get hit by a truck, Richard Spencer, same thing's going to happen to you that will happen to some black person or Asian person that you don't like. So as soon as people can zoom out and see that and transcend all the bullshit that's politics, that's racism, sexism. You guys watch Jesse Lee Peterson, homophobism, Islamophobism. You transcend all of that and just, you know, connect with the divine and live your best life, because we were not put on this planet to be enslaved the way we are, just going through life on a conveyor belt, you know, living on someone else's terms. So I think that's where we'll get with an awakening. But first, we got to get Trump reelected so he can truly drain the swamps, so we can shrink the size of government, because we're not supposed to be governed, I don't believe, to this extent. And then we can get a nice, principled, Ron Paul style libertarian in there, you know, and then go from there. And I really do see we can have a better world, but you know what the Bible says. So that's all I got to say, guys.
All right, bye, Mike.
All right, you guys have a good night. And oh, before I go,
Bye-bye.
Zach.
Yes, sir.
Listen, Zach and Promethius, we gotta connect.
I'll see you guys. Or you guys, I'll send if you guys are gonna just put your numbers on the group text, so everybody will have each other's numbers. You can do that.
Okay.
That'd probably be easier. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
guys.
Anybody? Hey, Mike, are you going to the walk away march?
Yeah. I'm actually gonna be at the. You won't like this, but I'm going to Turning Point USA's Black
I don't
Leadership
care.
Summit.
I don't have. Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
Mike, you're going to be in DC?
Yeah, I'm actually going out there it's the same weekend.
Yeah, me too. I'm speaking at the Walkaway March, so I think
Wow.
there's going to be a lot of crossover. That'll be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome, you guys.
Yeah, that weekend in DC is going to be crazy. There's going to be so
Yeah.
many people there, and like
Turning Point and Walkaway, which is like
and a lot of people that are going to the Young Black Leadership Summit are actually part of that walkaway movement too. So
there's gonna be a lot
kind
of
overlap.
crossover.
I'm sure they're gonna try to plan something.
Yeah, I know Brandon Strock, the founder of the Walkaway movement, he tried to get Brandon Tatum and a couple other folks, but Brandon's doing Young Black Leadership Summit. I think he tried to get like Larry Elder too, but he's doing that as well. Like Larry Elder is great, but you know.
Yeah.
He got Dinesh D'Souza, which is crazy.
Oh, I know. I'm so mad about that. I want to hear Dinesh speak, but we got Larry Elder, we got Coleon Noir, We got Stacey Dash, so that's
yeah,
cool.
Stacey Dash is speaking at the march too. Wow, all-star
She's going to
lineup.
the march too.
Yeah, she's on
That's
the roster.
Yeah, so
Crazy. Yeah.
yeah, man, I wanted Brandon to because I know he saw my video, my walk away where I talk about the party switch myth, and I thought for sure he's gonna want to interview me because that was one of the top videos that when the movement first started, and he didn't get to me. I saw he interviewed you and some other people, but
Yeah.
I would like to meet
They're
him
probably
too.
just very overwhelmed too. There are so many people. Not all the videos too that people made are even on the Walk Away channel. There's so many
Yeah.
other videos that aren't even on the channel itself. And there's new ones popping up all the time. So I'm just guessing that, you know, he's probably overwhelmed. You can't, you know.
Hey, my daughter walked away. That video went crazy.
Yeah, Maurice, your video, I saw your video before I made my video. Like I saw a couple of you guys, like Mike, I think I saw your video too, but it wasn't, I saw a few people's videos. I saw that video from that New Right Party guy, that other.
Oh yeah, New Right Party.
Great video. Great. I think I've seen that video like 10 times. Then I watched a few of you guys' videos. And then it was.
I was on that video. I was on my break sitting in my car.
Yeah, and then I think I made my video like sometime in, what was it, early August or late July? Because my video came out later. That's the thing. I wasn't an early walkaway person. I had watched like a few, and I'm like, oh my god, this is real. This is like a real thing. And
Yeah,
then,
right. It's not Russian bots.
Yeah, these aren't fake people here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, but we'll connect definitely.
For sure.
I'll send you my number in the group chat or group text, and then Promethius, I have your email too. I've been meaning to get back to you. We'll connect like this week sometime. I've been all over the place. And then everybody else, you guys have a good night, and
Okay, I will.
let's do this again soon.
Hey, holla at me, Mike. Holla.
All right.
I think
All right.
Uber guy is gonna be at the walk away. He's gonna be there this weekend. So definitely, you guys put your numbers on the group text so you guys can hook up. That'd be awesome.
Y'all can just hit me up whenever. Send me a message with your name on it, and I'll know who it is. So
Okay.
Cool. All right, man. Later.
Later, Gator. All right, last closing out, you guys. Thank you so much for everybody that's watching. We're almost done. Thank you so much for your donations. I really appreciate it. Please. So okay, we'll finish this and then I'll close out. So what are we gonna do? What are you gonna do when we win? Raquel, I'm in American Curls. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Put that intuition.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm already basically in a super red state, in a red area of a red state. So, I mean, I feel like it's a given that we're going to win. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to celebrate, stay up late and watch us win. That's what I'm going to do.
All right.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
I'm gonna dance. Like I said, I'm gonna dance, and I'm gonna throw my hands in the air and wave it like I just don't care, because I don't care. I don't care about the liberals. I don't care about Hollywood. So I'm waving my hands in the air like I just don't care. Hollywood.
And if the girl got off fake hair, pull that trick off. I'm just kidding.
That dude, and I will make a viral video the next day. I promise you that video will go viral. It will go viral.
What color is Wisconsin?
Wisconsin is red. We won for the first time in many years.
Hillary didn't even go to Wisconsin.
Yeah, Hillary, she check it out. Look,
she took for granted that it was usually blue.
Look, it was a riot in here in Milwaukee, right? I'm about an hour from Chicago, right? It was a riot. Black people burning up the gas station. And Trump came to West Bend, Wisconsin, in the suburb. He said, in Wisconsin, he said, I'm reaching out to every African American. What the hell you got to lose? Your schools are good. He said that here. He said it here.
Right.
And that made me boost myself and vote. He said this. The charter schools, these charter schools, now I'm telling you, we'll talk about some other time, but I'm telling you, Trump, that's a blessing, because Trump came down here when it was a riot down here. Right, a day after the riot, he happened to see, God sent him. So he said, African American, what the hell you got to lose? You know what I said? Trump, now I'm really voting for you. I love you. My N-word. I ain't saying a word.
I wonder you can sell a shirt that says Trump's my nigga on it. Like how many people?
Okay. He is. I said.
You have like a picture of Trump with like a gold chain.
Trump be my nigga. All right, Trump be my
Somebody's
nigga.
gonna say that. You better market that.
Yeah, you're gonna do it.
Okay, so anybody else wanna say what they're gonna do when or if we win, if or when? I'm just afraid to jinx it. I want to say when, but I usually do. But I'm just like I don't.
I'm nervous too. You ain't the only one.
I don't think y'all should be nervous. I think we're going to win by a landslide, you know, with everything that happened with Brett Kavanaugh and then what I just told you about with Dianne Feinstein and the McCabe memos. I think it's all we got to make sure to do is vote, you know, and because it's all going to be pointing at the Democrats when it's said and done, I think.
Well, I think if it's a fair election, yeah, we'll win by a landslide. But you know how the Democrats do. They play dirty. You know, you ever watch Kevin's Corner? He's like those dirty, rotten, evil, nasty, crusty, funky like Democrats. He'll go on for like 10 minutes, just calling every name in the book. He doesn't curse, but he just like, which is, you know, it's good. But he'll just be like, go run the rampant of the gamut of like the many different names. But they play dirty. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the voting, getting illegals to vote. I think I should actually show up at the polls, or at least threaten to show up at the polls, because if that's an issue, then people that are at the, like, they won't show up. You know what I mean? Like, what person that's an illegal is going to risk getting deported just for voting? You know? But that's just my concern. I just think that, you know, I think I found that article on Facebook and I tagged you in American Curls. It was about the tech companies getting having a meeting to ensure that the voting process is fair. And then you were like, you know, you should have said another meeting, because you know they had more than one. They just got caught that time, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? I think we have on our side is that conservatives, we care more about voting, I noticed. And like millennials, like they'll go out, they'll scream, they'll holler. But if you ask them if they voted, they didn't vote, you know? They don't vote. They just...
Well, I don't know, but they're being like persuaded this time. And now, you know, they're being like, you know, manipulated and stuff, you know? I don't know.
I think Promethius is right. I think we're going to win by a landslide. I really do. I think we're going to win by a landslide. I think they're lying to us, just like they did with Trump. They lied.
I think that too, but I also think that they're probably a little bit more prepared this time because they see the pulse of the country, and they're going to try and do some dirty work. I just think personally, and I also would advise you guys. Maybe it's me being a little bit a paranoid truther, but to have a few days of food and extra toilet paper and extra water. Because seriously, like I've been joking about it, but I really feel that if there is a huge red wave, just say like California, Texas, Florida, New York, like all the, like it's just red, then people are going to riot. You know, people are going to riot.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to happen.
One last thing I want to say is I don't know if y'all have ever heard of it, but look up Judicial Watch, and they're an independent law firm that's basically uncovering a lot of the corruption with the deep state. But Judicial Watch is taking it upon themselves to deal with the court systems and basically like revamp our voter roll call registration. So they're actually, you know, I don't know how they do it legally, but they're getting states one by one to update their voter registration system. So they're going to eliminate the dead people. They're going to eliminate the illegals. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really cool. No, I did not know that. Anybody else?
I actually started reading a book by them. Like, I don't know if they wrote it, but there's a book I started reading, and they like uncover a bunch of like government, like this underhanded stuff. I just started reading. I just started. I'll maybe like give you guys some updates.
Yeah, that'd be good. You know, read it, and if you see anything cool, you know, maybe we could talk about the next panel. That'd be great.
Pretty interesting.
I didn't even know they had a book or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Scribed. SCRBD, I think, Scribed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a book website. I'm sure you can find it.
Okay. Anybody else? You close this Mama Jam out.
I'm just gonna be me when we win. Nothing's really gonna change for me.
Hell no.
I'm kidding. I don't know. I'll probably.
Hey,
It's California.
Zach, you should
like
do a
people.
victory song. You should play your guitar and do like a victory song.
Yeah,
It'll
I'll
be
do
awesome. I should do one
liberal
too. I'll do
cheer
it.
song. We'll do a little music thing.
Yeah, I think I might do some music. I know, like I plan to wear. My thing was like I'm gonna wear a red shirt and just go out public and film crying.
See, I have a bright red shirt, and the thing is, I'm exempt in California because it's a big University of Arizona shirt and it's red. But it's like, you know, if people call me whatever, it's just like I'm a Sun Devil. It's fine. It's U of A.
Yeah, well, if I just have red, like, what are they gonna get mad? They can't really. I know what I'm doing. But
I'll
they can't
just tell them it means good luck. I'm fucking Chinese. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have sworn.
Oh,
it's just
no,
like
I curse all the time.
I'm Chinese, and it's just like this is. It's like I wear a "Make America Great Again" hat because it's lucky. It's just like I'm Asian, so I can get away with it. I'm just be like,
if you just wear if it's not political and it's the color red, it'll still piss people off. It is.
I mean, it's just like
trigger people. You know?
How funny would it be to just go to like a Chinese New Year festival next year, like after this election cycle, all these Chinese people wearing MAGA hats, and they're just like, nah, it's good luck. But what is that guy? Jesse Lee Peterson puts it, the Great White Hope or whatever. I think that's what he calls it.
The Great White Hope.
I love this. It's too funny. It's too funny.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Anywho.
Anybody else? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we're done. Thank you so much again for everybody that watched, that donated, that gave us really nice compliments, gave us some food for thoughts. I was trying to follow the compliments. I mean the comments. I'm gonna have to, when I rewatch the video, I'm gonna have to look at it. So I think it'll be ready pretty soon after we're done the whole panel. I'm gonna work on cutting it up into parts next week. And then I'll like email you guys if you guys want to re-upload it to your own channels. You can. If you can rip this as soon as it's available. I don't want to. You're welcome to what do you call it?
I will.
Put the whole panel up. Anybody that's watching too, they want to re-upload it on their own channels. I'm fine with that. And if they want to share it, please share. Remember fundthewall.com. For if you want to see the wall built, donate to that. I'm donating anytime we do a panel out, any donations, donate 10% to fund the wall.
10%. It's gonna get 10 feet higher.
10%. All right. All right, guys. I think that's it. Thanks so much for coming. This is fun as always. Maybe we'll have one more before the election.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. We'll do it. Probably. It'll be at the end of October, though. Around the end of October, because I'm gonna be leaving and I have some stuff to do. So, but let's plan another one. All right, guys, and thanks so much for coming. Thanks for watching. All right, guys. Peace through love. Bye bye.
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 See you later.
All right.